So, welcome to episode 39 of the Asylum. Everything has run smoothly. There has been no editing or trimming before the show. Welcome, everyone, to episode 39 of the Asylum podcast. We have with us our first time guest, Snake Eater 1. Fantastic. Snake, welcome to the show. Please do tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thank you, Manus. I'm super stoked to be here, by the way. Thank you for the invite to the show. This is a great honor to be with you, gents.
Don't get too excited.
I'm a Twitch streamer and starting to get into some YouTube content. I started streaming about a year and a half ago, but just picked up StarCitizen about 2 months ago. I've been following it, sort of lurking on it for a while, but got an incredible introduction to it and its community a couple of months ago and was instantly sold. Had to be part of it and its community. So started streaming Citizen primarily, dabble a little bit in a couple other games, but I've been enjoying every minute of being a Star Citizen streamer since then. Didn't get to go to CitizenCon, but did get to go to TwitchCon, meet a bunch of other Star Citizen streamers, and I've just been having a ton of fun since I began in the Star Citizen world.
So we need to know, are you using a DSLR camera right now, or is this an actual webcam?
Yes, sir. It's
I knew it. I knew it. I was like,
mirrorless DSLR. It's a Sony A7 III. I get the question a lot. The microphone too is an RE20. In case anybody's wondering.
So basically, he actually sounds really, really squealy. In real life, it's just this really squiggly, squealy little voice. It's not really that manly at all. He talks like this normally.
It's the radio.
Money on your mic and your camera, your job's done. As a broadcaster, you're done.
Do you know what's like? Okay, because we always start the show with just general kind of just chit chat and stuff. So I have been doing the same thing. I have been playing with a DSLR camera. Surprise, surprise, because I look red as shit right now. I'm going to try and fix that in a bit. But I've been playing with one, and I have an old 600D Canon lying around, and I was like, I never use this thing. Why not we use it? So I loaded it up, plugged it in, got the wires, paid for all the things, read the instructions, got it all set up. And then I was all excited and it was working really well and I finally managed to do it. Then there was an slight issue of Ms. knows with audio desync, which you can fix just by doing a slight audio check on yours. You just desync it. No, you just pause it, or I can't remember what the word is for it, but you slow it down.
Put a
delay on it. That's the word I was looking for. By a few nanoseconds or whatever it is. Anyway, and then it's perfect. So I was like all excited, got that done, and I was testing it out. And then half an hour went past, and then all of a sudden the live view program which I used from Canon just suddenly went black and the screen went black, and I was like, what? But it was getting a source from the video, but it wasn't getting the picture anymore. And so I kind of tried it again, and then 30 minutes later the same thing happened again. And then I read up on it, you have to switch off the power from going into like sleep mode. So I did that, switched it, but it still kept doing this thing. And then I read up on it, and there is a law in Europe which states that to do with certain firmware on DSLRs, because of the video, if it's open the video for a certain amount of time, there will be a different tax law on the camera, because it would then be considered a video camera.
Basically, the camera is the video camera.
So
to get around the tax, they give us that shit.
Wow, that's horrible.
Interesting. It's really interesting because I very recently bought a camera, and that was one thing. It was like it was always labeled differently in Europe and America. And I thought, well, it's exactly the fucking same camera, and everything you read and everything everybody says is exactly the same camera. So now I know why. It's because the bastard in UK or EU.
I think you can get like a jailbreaking firmware update or something like that.
I've looked into it. There's one called Black Magic, I think it is. Surprise, great name. Magic Lantern, or I don't know, something. I call it Black Magic, but yeah, it's Project Lantern, and I think you can do it, but it does have a wonderful. There's a picture I sent through to Miz which says, "Warning: this can break your phone. At least you'll have two parts to sell afterwards."
It's always disconcerting. That's for sure. I guess you might consider buying just a US camera on Amazon or something.
Or then just having an adapter or something, just for the main.
Adapters don't work.
I'm at the point where I don't use the camera. The camera was used for when I was doing visual effects and doing films and stuff and doing other things. It's too old now anyway, really, to be used for that. it's got a use potentially now to take some nice photos, and it could be used for this. So for me, it's like a win-win. If it wins, great. If it doesn't win, it's not a big deal. It's just going to go back in a cupboard somewhere, rather than me blowing like 400 quid. So I will probably try and see if I can crack it with the firmware. But
if it breaks, just put it in the cupboard and don't tell anyone.
yeah, just don't tell the wife.
Well, it's certainly
My
not the
400
wife,
quid
it's
camera.
certainly not over a podcast.
That's kind of what I meant.
So, but no, I mean, so for anyone, if you are interested in European and you've been switching to DLS, if you want to do that for your webcam, you see it on the internet, just be aware, go check it out. If you go, the other thing I did is I went and looked at the Elgato Cam Link. I don't know if anyone else has seen it. It's a Cam Link thing that you can plug in and it runs really well. I was looking to,
That's
I'm
what
gonna,
I use, by the way.
probably going to buy one. It's really good. But it has a big warning saying the DSR 600 switches off, and it has a big list, and loads of Canons all have a great big X next to them and then have an amber warning sign to indicate that this is a thing. So, yeah. So I know why, and it's there, and so just because
Is it just Canons, or is it all brands that get sold in Europe?
Europe brands, all Europe brands.
Yeah. So when I come to America.
It's obviously an tax, so it's
take a vacation to somewhere in the States, buy a camera.
Yep. 100%. Or if you know somebody, get them to buy it. Take out the packaging out of the box, and then ship it.
Hide it in a teddy bear package.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be interested in what they're sending to you. Yeah.
Well, somebody said this to me as well. They said, like, if you were to buy an Apple Mac laptop, sorry, we're just on a random top, but this is the Asylum. And if you buy,
StarCitizen, folks.
Yeah, we will get into StarCitizen in a second. If you buy like a laptop, for example, I don't know anyone here, but if you buy like a laptop or an iPad, or like I'd buy an iPod, you have to open the box before you get it through. You have to make it look like it's been used and opened. If you don't, then you have to pay tax on it upon entry. If someone was to stop you and say, "Hey, what's this?"
You know what it's called? Tax avoidance. You're buying it in another country to avoid tax.
You're importing it. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And you're not. You have to pay taxes at the import.
I know, but it's just. It's
Customs
one of
and
those.
duties.
Let us buy what we want to buy.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm like. It's free world, man. We've got the internet. The world is shrunken. It's time to just open it up, man.
Chill countries and your economy.
Stop building walls and breaking barriers. Let's go for it. So So anyway, I want to start Citizen. Sorry, random. We always start with a bit of a random thing. So how has everyone's week been in Star Citizen? I know that I've played a little bit this week and had a blast the other day, which was amazing. Hasey's always playing. He's a superstar. I know Snake's you've been playing a lot recently. You did Tarkov before, but you've moved into Star Citizen recently over the last how many months? A month or so, or
Just
a couple
of
weeks?
months.
Yeah.
I'm my main boo.
And Miz has been. Have you been playing it at all, or have you been doing painting?
You've been slacking.
He's been
I was
slacking.
playing Fallout, so I was trying to beat her.
Which one?
Fallout.
Oh, okay. I've been playing Fallout 2. I went back to the classic. Went back to the classic.
Yeah.
Everybody was playing the new jam. I went backwards.
Yeah, me too.
So I roll.
It's like, hey, here's an actual RPG, everybody, and everybody's like, what's an RPG? Oh God, what is this? This is what our grandfathers used to play on. Did you have to chisel your mouse movements into stone or something?
I never played. Was Fallout 2? I never played that.
It's an account, so it's fine.
He sold it. He sold it to pay for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And to buy himself.
So yeah.
console.
Oh, yeah, I've been hearing stuff. I haven't played Fallout 76, but I hear a lot of people are complaining that it's kind of empty. It's just kind of like you kill things. You run around and kill things. Is that kind of what Miz? Is that kind of the gist of it?
I think it's a lot more like Fallout 4. And the Fallout community, I believe, are quite split on Fallout 4 anyway. You've got a lot of people that like it and like the building side of it. And then I think the classic Fallout players seem to be less keen on Fallout 4. So if you're happy with Fallout 4, you'll probably love it. There's no NPCs, which is weird. Like there's obviously monsters and stuff, but like quest NPCs.
Yeah.
So you pick up like audio journals and things like that, which talk to you and tell you what's going on. But I don't know. It's basically built more as a group thing. So you do things as a group, and you go and do the quest. There's like public quests that you can go and join. It's not worth the 60 quid they're asking for it, in my opinion. But I found it for like 30 quid, so it's not as bad. And it's one of those that it'll probably be added to quite a lot, I imagine, because they have got plans to add to it because it's an MMO type of thing. So they'll keep doing expansions and stuff.
So
But
you're saying the
if you like
initial offering is pretty light.
if you're going to pay the full price, I think so. It's just I don't, it's hard because of the way they've done the freaking beta. You get like 2-hour time slots, so you can't really obviously go and check everything. But there's like if you like the building, there's quite a lot of construction stuff, so you can build your own base. We built a base and got attacked by NPCs a few times, which was quite interesting. If that gets bigger and better, that's kind of cool because you can do a bit of like base defense. They also have like we claimed a junkyard I was only grouped up with someone else. We claimed this junkyard, and as soon as I claimed it, it said this is now flagging you for PvP, and people can come and try and steal your resources and stuff. So it ends up being like this big NPC town sort of base, and then you can build up turrets and everything else. So that sort of gameplay would be quite interesting. So
what you're saying is play it like Destiny, which is to say, don't play it for a while and then come back to it when they've added some more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on
For
how
the first
much
expansion pack.
But yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's the map's supposed to be something like 4 times bigger than Fallout 4. And I mean, I'm not the best person to ask in some ways because like I haven't played any of the Fallout games, any of them.
Right.
So it felt quite clunky and stuff for me for a while because it's like the controls are just really not intuitive. You've got like you're when you're doing the building menu, you're using Q&A to sort of spin things around, and then you've got to use the arrow keys to change the menu, so you're constantly over one side to the other side of the keyboard and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I've heard some reviewers complaining about, or first impressions, I should say, for the beta.
Yeah.
Like the building stuff is not intuitive.
I think if you've got an Xbox controller, people are saying, "Oh, it's amazing," but on keyboard and that, it's a bit weird. The buttons are all over the place, and they don't even have push to talk. So they've got like proximity voice chat, but you would kind of think that they would at least put a push to talk option in there rather than always hearing people. So. Right. Yeah,
It looked okay. It looked
so
okay.
30 quid, not so bad. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but I might get it for 30 quid.
You haven't played the full experience though yet, in terms of you haven't had all your mates who bought it together, all joining up together to play it.
There is quite a lot to it. Like I said, big map. There's higher levels. The crafting's good. There's lots of crafting. You craft your own weapons and things like that. So yeah, there's probably a fair amount to do. I don't know how long. It depends a little bit on how long they start adding content, and that they can potentially add random events and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see where they take it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
That's what you've been doing. You've been playing that bad boy. I know a lot of people obviously have been playing the Red Dead thing. I haven't played that because I'm waiting for PC, but I know we don't know how long it'll be for PC. So it's like I was sitting there in the shop. I was sitting there, well, standing there in the shop. Wasn't sitting there. I was standing there in the shop, and I was looking at it going, because I got a PlayStation, and I'm just like seeing all these people, and everyone's talking great stuff about this game. Going, I don't know if I can wait. I'm like literally like, I don't know if I can wait. I'm like, it just looks so good. And I see that game and I think of StarCitizen and I think of that experience that, you know, I mean, I'm not the only one. Chris Roberts has been watching that as well because he was talking on RTV and Sean was talking about, he's like, oh my God, Chris has been watching Red Dead Redemption about the facial hair growing. And he's just like,
I mean, our characters are going to age, so why wouldn't Chris Roberts allow us to grow beards? You have to shave every day. I mean, they already have shaving accoutrements inside the 600
God, let the developers stick with core technology and
finish the game.
Put this off to another expansion pack. Chris Roberts, just say it's going to be like, well, the first expansion pack will have shaving for men and women.
Please. I've
got to get into Red Dead Redemption at some point too. I usually try to wait for stuff like that to age just a little bit to come down in price, but I really miss narrative content. You know what I mean? Like there's so much open world stuff and so much, you know, PvP stuff these days, and I'm hearing that into some story stuff.
I'm hearing that Red Dead Redemption's having some grinding issues, like the new Assassin's Creed, where they're artificially inflating the gameplay time by adding more unnecessary stuff. With if you like that, if you like really digging into a game that has a lot of activities, a lot of stuff you have to do to kind of level up and whatnot, you should get your base settled in. Your gang is apparently your levels, from what I've been hearing. It's like
For those that used to
I don't
play
know.
RPGs, that's called playing a game.
Yes.
Yeah, just saying it, rather than just getting to end the level in 2 minutes with the booster pack that you get from the collector's edition.
But
Yeah.
Old school
they have
games, we used to
microtransactions though.
play a game and
90
do side quests.
minutes or less of leveling and 3 years of endgame.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Anyway,
impressive.
recipe.
Just pay to skip all those levels. Get right to the in-game content, right? That's,
It's
that's
like
what
one of
we're
the.
gonna do.
I watched something for
Wave
someone
your credit card.
with Fallout. It goes all top 5 tips, and his tip number 1 was power level to level 5. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Oh dear God!
Just
Again,
grind.
This is-
It's-
Just turn the game into not a game.
I hate that.
And
I do hate that. I really do, because it's like it's not meant to be that. The Red Dead Redemption clearly is not that type of game, you know, and Star Citizen's not that type of game either. It's the same. It's story driven. It's friend driven, and it's meant to have those slow moments. It's meant to have the on the horse. Just you better got to get into it. You know what I mean? I get it. Everyone gets it now. How many pictures are on Reddit with people taking photos, of panoramic photos of freaking? I was stuck. I lost my ride. I lost my dragonfly, and I was sat there, and they just take a picture. You know what I mean? It's like, but I wasn't so bad because it was cool looking out the. You know, it's that.
Right.
That is already here, and it's going to get better as they add snow and other things.
Right.
So I don't get it. I don't get why
and
people grind.
this is why I brought this up. Like it was a couple podcasts ago where I brought up the point that players can engineer the fun out of a video game if they really push themselves. People try to find the shortest path to a goal, to an objective that they want. Like if somebody wants to fly javelin, like, and we saw the Hammerhead's price at CitizenCon was 21 million. And if we go back to think about Ultima Online, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, how long did it take you to get to end game content in World of
I
Warcraft? Like
mostly didn't make it.
Yeah.
It took me. Still didn't get to the end game. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and that's how it's gonna be like in Star Citizen. It's gonna take a long time to get to those big ships if that's the end game for you. And people will try to find the fastest way to get to that content. And my guess is that they will just burn themselves out because they won't enjoy everything. People don't play the story. Like me, I get impatient sometimes with the game. I just start clicking on missions. Yeah, I want the credits for this mission. Click. I don't even read the flavor text. And they obviously.
I always felt
Go ahead.
bad in World of Warcraft because I kind of would get into that. Like I would start out reading the quest lines and the stories, and then I would eventually just sort of be like, just give me all the quests. I want to level up and I want to get my money. And I always kind of felt bad about that because I do love to, know what the story is, but I end up, and falling into that trap of like, okay, but I also want to get to the end game and I also want to get this awesome new set of armor or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
resist
Yeah.
that urge to
I
just
think
drive forward as fast as possible.
in like so say World of Warcraft's a good example. It's like a lot of text, and I do think that reading constant walls of text, it does eventually get stale. You know, that's why you kind of skip a lot of it.
And that's why
there's not
Chris
too much
Roberts has put in,
variation.
and that's why Chris Roberts, some of the mission boards we have, like Recco, Ruto, and Miles Eckhart, they actually talk to you. They actually have lines, voice lines, and I hope there's enough variation in those voice lines to keep it interesting. But they have mission boards essentially that talk to you.
Because that's what I was going to say. Because like Star Wars, The Old Republic, I believe, I think it was that, and I know Elder Scrolls Online, especially the whole thing voiced. So like, I think all of it. I know Elder Scrolls for certain. Every single NPC are voiced. Every quest you get is a voiced quest, so they speak to you. So each one's got character. Each one's actually telling you. And to me, that's you're more into the story. You can actually get that quest and be absorbed in it. Plus, I know that the hours and hours of work gone to get someone to read scripts, to get the acting, to get it all working and sound really cool with different voices and everything else. And then you get people that want to complete it in a day. And you think some poor bastard's been sitting there for years developing this game, and you've come in and you've just gone skip, and then completed it in a day. And it's like,
That's what I love about Squadron 42 is that I'm getting both of the games I love, an MMO but also a narrative story that is only a narrative story. Like they wouldn't be able to focus on story the way they do, hiring a bunch of A-list actors like they have if they couldn't control the narrative, right? And that's why you can get the level of quality that they're going to be putting into Squadron 42, which is big actors, big assets, and amazing cinematics and all that type of stuff. And you get that before you get, or in theory, you're going to get that before you get the persistent universe and the MMO, and I think that's terrific because A, it will set the tone for there's story in this universe that you should seek out, and B, it'll get me my fill of narrative before I jump into this open sandbox MMO world.
I mean, can you imagine going into a cinema and watching a film and then just go skip all dialogue, and I just want to see the explosion at the end? Because that's what it's
I
kind of
do
like.
that
is you're skipping
sometimes.
Everything.
I do that
Horrible,
sometimes.
To be
You're
fair,
a
I
horrible
do.
person.
To be fair, I have done that. It depends on if the movie, for example, has a very, very pointless relationship section in the movie or a sex scene that I really don't feel the need that I need to watch it. Boop, fast forward to the next thing. You know, that's the way I
I
kind
wouldn't
of
really
roll.
call a sex
It
scene
ruins
dialogue.
it for me though, just because it's like breaks the fourth wall. You know what I mean? Like if I start seeing things speed up, I'm like, and we're not watching movies anymore. You know what I mean? It just breaks it.
It depends. Like Star Trek had that stupid girl, that blonde girl in it. What was the? I can't remember the one with Cumberbatch, and they had the blonde, like the sexualized
Yeah.
kind of like.
You're
And I was
talking
just
about
like,
Star
fast
Trek Into
forward,
Darkness.
fast forward. Like every time
My
she
name
came
is
on, I was just like,
Khan.
fast forward, fast forward. I literally wanted to do it. I was like, pointless character, pointless character.
That scene, man. So I don't think that most people share that. feeling, but you know, like I
with
think
his
that
wife,
I
and
understand
he's
what you're
like,
saying.
she's going, stop looking.
Maybe his wife is watching the podcast
seriously,
in the background.
seriously,
He has to get some brownie points.
I was like, I get it. Like you're pretty, but you can still have some decent dialogue written into and make it interesting. I was like, look at
You
like
don't understand, Madness,
Star
that she's-
Transformers with what's her face when she's in the car and she
Dude,
holds the
yeah,
car.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was kind of like I was like, damn, the girls are getting hot. I don't remember that when I was a kid watching. Was it Megan Fox with the car thing? And I was like, yep, that's a pretty cool scene. That's quite good. But it had like something. And then Shia LaBeouf character was funny as hell.
You gotta manage your
with it.
expectations with blockbusters, though. I mean, they've got some recipes that they have to follow, and they're, you know.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta,
it's
gotta check those boxes.
Again, it's similar to games, though, isn't it? Like some of the games coming out, they make sure they include this and this because it's what sells and it's what people expect. And
I just she is sexy. Just decent lines. Just other than that.
See,
Anyway,
I've gotten to the point where maybe Hollywood's worked on me, maybe advertising's worked on me. I've gotten to the point where if there is no sexualization in content, I'm like,
Not
that's
watching.
not realistic. Where in life am I not thinking about sex every 30 seconds? That's not realistic. You should have it in there, you know, like.
yeah. I mean, we've had this. I have this conversation with StarCitizen. I want to have sexy aliens and sexy female characters and sexiness and in StarCitizen. I feel that I want more attractiveness in the game. But I think but I think Chris is the opposite. I think Chris is like, no. The sex is the spaceships, Madness. The sex is the spaceships, and everything else around it can be ugly as shit. That is what's beautiful. The beautiful world and everything else. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see it. Now the spaceships and everything else is what's sexy, and the people have to be pretty unattractive generally.
I just want to be James Tiberius Kirk and bone that what was it, green lady.
yes.
Yeah, there should be a throwback to, you know, when you should meet somebody, some, you know, strange, like basically exactly like a human, only they're an alien
Well,
and they're blue.
This
but they're
comes
hot and they're very
to
human-like.
RTV, and RTV I thought was the best thing this week. ATV sucked ass, but RTV was excellent. And I don't know about you guys, but RTV was excellent. And this comes to this point, which is they talked about, Sean talks about obviously the very stereotypical, the kind of traditional kind of like holes. We've talked about it on the show before about, you know, the aliens, this type of this, and the designs like this, and the people are like this. But what I liked about this was they were talking about more advanced, similar to kind of an Expanse, and how humans on different planets look different, and how they've evolved and changed. And then they talked about mixed races of humans as well. And it was much more a really interesting way, and with the genome tech or the G tech that they have, and the way that they kind of like this warping skills, all this stuff that they've been showing us, I'm really excited about how they can kind of make humans and kind of, we can look really different now, like, because before we had the restrictions with kind of the armor and stuff, now they could have like
Symmetry
really
as well.
long armed kind of like bone, you know, like kind of being in deep, you know, people, it could just make it look freaking cool. So I was really excited. I was really excited.
I agree with you. I like that they are trying to be a little more subtle with it, though, because the other thing he hammered on was like that they don't want to hit you over the head with it. Like these people from this place clearly have the pointy ears and the blue noses. But then you go to this other planet, and they're the ones with the green teeth and the orange hair. It's like he wants it to be more like subtle, more evolutionary, like you're talking about. And you know, it's not going to be smashing over the head with it.
Yeah,
I think it's
just
cool. Interesting to see how well we'll be able to identify people. I mean, it made a good point, and if you look at the actors that they're using, and the fact that how easy they are to sort of identify on their characters. So yeah, it will be kind of interesting if you can get to know your friends and everything else by sight, and because obviously, we've all played older games and MMOs, like you said, where you've got all these orcs, and there's like about 3 different variations, so you can't differentiate. And I think they were saying with the new technology that they showed off at CitizenCon, you'll have much more flexibility, like with the size of the head, your size of your ears, and I did think that was quite a nice. I can imagine if you're thrown now with all those options, you're going to have some probably very dysfunctional heads. So I think limiting it or adapting it for depending on where your starting position is I like the sound of that. That'd be quite.
Yeah.
But it'll take me forever to create a character because I'll have to try each planet just to see what the variation.
Yeah, I know, right? If you're Hurston, you're the Hurston. What does that look like? And a Hurston male versus a Hurston female, you know, and Hurston alien. Like eventually they're not going to do it straight away. I think we're all playing as predominantly humanoid. It will be aliens. Maybe will come later in patches later down the line. I don't think they're.
Yeah, they say they want playable alien races later on. So we may see like
originally
if we go back. Well, if we go back to the Wing Commander series, there was friendly Kilrathi to the Terran Confederation, so we may see a playable Vandal race at some point as well. We know Banu, Terravon.
I would have thought Vandal best because they're massive. Like, because what he was describing on the same RTV about the heights of characters and stuff, I think if you're going to get a playable alien race, they're going to be humanish.
Well, Banus are taller too. The Banu are much taller.
Well, we might be a completely
the genre like turtles. They're bulky. The genre.
Yeah, they talked a little bit about the tech involved in like they said that they're going to make variations in girth, if you will. You know, different size changes in width, but not in height. Like the skeletal structures of animations have to remain the same for now, but eventually they obviously want to have different races and that type of thing, but you know, it's a challenge even right now just to get females to properly animate through all the assets in the game and that type of thing.
Yeah, so I would hide. I mean, I would expect maybe even a race we don't know, or you know, like one new race to use. It can be discovered through people exploring, and then they can become a friendly race that you could play. I would have thought. I think it's. I mean, like you said, unless it gets breakthrough technology where, like they did with the face, where they realize, oh, you can change the height of someone. I think it's less likely to happen. I think, and it's mainly because of the FPS reasons as well, because you can play in third and first person, so you start changing people's heights. He was saying how one's going to be able to lean over a box, and where the other one's going to be hidden behind it, and things like that. So
they'll have to have restrictions. They mean there's that they can't go too tall or too short because of the cockpit and the seats, and could you imagine like if you were like a mini dwarf, kind of getting into like a cutlass, like the screens are like literally here, you won't be able to see. You'd have to get a booster seat. Hang on, let me adjust my seat. To kind of like
we talk about that. People complain about like the height of your head in cockpits as it is, and say they want you to move the chair up and down. Imagine if there were different, like you could play a 7-foot tall person. Guess what?
You just sleep over the cockpit though.
GTFO, if you don't like where your head is in the cockpit, play a shorter character, dude.
Yeah, well, we had JR was on last week, and he was basically saying, because they were building, the scale of StarCitizen is huge. Everything is built to a 6'4" human, but whereas the reality is most people are actually, the average height is probably about 5'10", 5'9", 5'10" across the board. So actually the desks are like, if they made them to scale, would be really awkward for most people when they come to the events and stuff. So they have to shrink them down a little bit, which is really interesting. So it's a game at the end of the day, and I'm happy with them if they give it a little bit of variance, because we'll have women in game, so they're obviously naturally a little bit shorter anyway. So, and some are taller and some are shorter, and same with blokes, some are short men and some are high. So I like the fact they'll have a little bit of variance there, but they only need to go up a little bit. What maximum would you say? 7 foot? For a human, if you were building it, what would you set the maximum height to?
I would say not even that. I don't.
Nah, yeah.
No, too high. 6 foot. 6'6". Michael Jordan height, 6'6".
No,
If they're 6'4" by standard now.
Yeah, top. Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about the one of the primary dominant parts of the game, playable game, is flying around in cockpits. I mean, in the real world, you can't be a fighter pilot if you're above a certain height because you will not fit in the cockpit properly. And same thing as with the on the lower end of the spectrum. So basically, that's your bracket, right? Is whatever the ships in the game. Maybe until you have more diverse ships. If you have ships for super tall people or races, then yeah, you could.
That'd be
But if there's
extremely
no
restrictive.
content
You
for
can
7
fly
footers,
these 3 ships at the whole game
yeah,
because you're too
exactly.
small
That's
for
what I'm
anything
saying.
else.
You can play a 7 footer if you want, but you're gonna be able to not play like 90% of the game. So,
Your head will be sticking out the top of the exosuits, the Titan suits. The interesting as well about just talking about like the warping and stuff, because obviously originally it was all the sizes and stuff were limited to the spacesuits. They couldn't, they'd have to do. Now they've got this technology. That means you can get fat spacemen again. You'll be able to get fat and skinny. You will get more variety in terms of
You'll
that
wonder
aspect.
how extreme they'll let us have though.
I do wonder about that. Like how, are we going to get boobs? We're going to get the boob effect. We're going to get big boobs, small boobs.
I mean,
Either
that's
the
what I'm
big
hoping.
boobs.
You get character doesn't have as much to do with height, I think, as it does with the other metrics in a person. So I'm hoping that you've got the weight variations and the everything from skinny to muscular to fat to what everything in between. That I think that would create a lot more, not just diversity in player selection, but like NPCs and that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. But no, so I'm very excited about the gene and the warping. I mean, like I said, I love the idea of obviously hybrid species as well. I'd love them to have a story quest somewhere where maybe in Squadron 42 where they talk about how they maybe meet a mad scientist or whatever in the Vandal. Like we meet like the crazy Vandal scientist who's been kind of, because they're naturally harvesters, and so they're kind of like harvesting humans to try and create like a hybrid technology human kind of thing where they can merge shit together, or that kind of like a mad human base somewhere in the middle of nowhere where they're creating like hybrid Vandal humans or something. That would be fucking sick. And kind of like, super weird. I'd love that.
Yeah,
I love all that stuff. But that's just like, that's far and away. But I hope with their technology they blow us away. So roadmap. This is the kind of where things get interesting. So roadmap. We have an updated roadmap. So we still got on the road for 3.4. We have 3.35 yet to come, I believe. Yet. It still says mid Q4. 98% done. When do you guys think? Are we going to go live, do you think, with 3.3 this week? And then go to 3.35 this week? Or do you best guess?
I think they're going to push. I think they're going to push straight to 3.35. November 20th.
I have noticed
the end of the PTO.
Like yesterday, zero crashes while gameplay. I've played a bunch of FPS at Korea, and it was super. I was like, this is like Overwatch smooth. This is incredibly smooth gameplay, and I can't imagine how much more polished they need than that to go to the live server.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna get.
According to my if you go to your account settings, go to your account, click on settings, and scroll down to public test universe. It'll actually tell you the period that the PTU is going to last. It says September 23rd to November 19th. Now that's probably an estimated date, but my guess is we are so close. We could probably release 3.3 right now on the Z patch.
Yeah, I think a more interesting question is: are they going to immediately drop 3.35 right after that to the PTU?
I think what we'll get is because like on Thursdays they tend to have a meeting of whether they're going to push it or not. So they've already said that before. Thursdays is their meeting day, and they say go or no go. So I think by Thursday they'll have the let's go and push it. And then that'll probably come out live on Thursday or Friday, and then I think we'll have Eva Carty testing it the same. Not the same day, but maybe the next week.
I think they're going to keep the PTO open. They're going to push Hurston right in there, and then they're going to once they.
I think it depends. The 4% that 12% that remains. If they're not,
Yeah, carry on.
those areas, I think they push it. I think they absolutely push it because there's no core technology being implemented, and they also probably looking at what they're trying to get out before the holiday. So
Yeah, that's why the November 19th for the period for the PTO seems a little weird. It's like right before Thanksgiving, at least the American Thanksgiving. So I suspect, and considering how close Hurston and Lorville are to be completed, like I think they're just pushing 335 right now. They're just going to try to push that out before. So we may see an extended PTU all the way through next week, and then Hurston suddenly shows before Thanksgiving.
Man, your sound's fucking up apparently.
Yeah, no, I saw that. That's why I was looking at it going, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. The only other thing they might do is they go live with this one, and then instead of Valkyrie, just put Hurston in on, so keep both.
that's my optimistic
Because, like you said, they don't need to
outlook.
change shit. Yeah.
I mean, the PTU is open to everybody already, so it's pretty much live as.
Yeah, so get rid and then change the PTU to add Hurston. I mean, they could just obviously just drop it in. They screw everything up. You know, they got no build then for anyone to play. Whereas if they drop what they've already got working and then add Hurston, then it causes no issue.
I would expect them to like still need to go all of. But it could very easily speed that 3.3 did from Evo down to
Evo lasted a fair amount for 3.3, but we have had less than.
Audio's really bad. Yeah, the audio's stopped for some reason really badly. Hang on, let me see if I can clean it up a bit. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We've got. It's just Discord's done an update tonight. I need to check it. There's no more updates, thankfully. Sorry, guys.
Mobile and just.
Yeah, do that.
Oh, just see how.
I think they'll just slot Hurston in. I'll just think they'll just. There's no reason. There doesn't feel like there's any reason to end the open. To open another PTU just for.
It all depends on how much that might fuck it up. That's the thing.
I mean, if you want a safe fallback, if you just want to give the live environment something to go off of, and then just Hurston and Orville messing it, but it's just a location.
Well,
like
they
all
could
the big
also they could also do like a real sort of modular rollout, like they did with the truck stop. And they put a section of the city in, and it's playable up to a certain point, but certain doors won't open, and there's stores aren't populated like they will be event patch to patch on the P or putting things in the stores and all that type of thing. And the real question, I think, will be I think the only thing that they need to have ready to go is the ability for people to land and take off. If the landing zone is not available, then Hurston's not going to be available. But if it is, then they could sort of roll the city out just like they will basically when it becomes a playable city. They're not going to put content in until it's ready. The city before that,
right? I mean, they are like Area 18 in ArcCorp. It was mostly.
Do you think it's your
first roll?
Hang on a sec, guys. Sorry. Do you think it's Discord or do you think it's your computer?
I think it's my computer now. I think my computer's struggling. It's the honest truth. Gonna have to buy time for buy a new computer, guys. How fun is that? It's struggling right now. If I was to tell you how hard my computer is now, you would all chuckle. I thought Slobs was going to be fixing this problem.
Nope.
Obviously not. Nope.
Probably you got the Skype, you got the Slobs, you got the voice.
Skype, Slobs, Discord, open. Yeah.
Plus you got
Go
the
to, your
stream
banana, go to your banana thing and just do restart audio on that menu thing, just to see if that helps.
Let's try it.
I'm not a computerologist, but just grab another stick of RAM and put it in the CD drive.
Yeah, just restart. Just hit, it's
got
turning it on.
It's got 32. It should be fairly decent. It's not that.
Have
It's
you
just
tried
it's an old.
reconfiguring the power couplings?
It's an old PC, guys. It's an old PC. It's on its last legs. Is the honest truth. We'll be moving. I'll have to move it all onto my streaming PC. That's my job tomorrow. Yay! Close some browser windows.
Yeah, have you got any browsers open and shit? Yeah, because I'll use a lot.
Let's close those down. That.
And as well.
And if you're using Chrome, close.
Closing it down. It's all closed down.
I live. Using Firefox while I stream.
It used to be good, and then it's just gone the other way now.
The experience is good. Man,
Yeah, especially if you have if you have your stream preview up in the background. I noticed any web browser, if you have a stream you're watching your stream through Twitch. If you have that in a window like that,
I got it shut down. I got it shut down to the minimum stuff right now. Minimum stuff, and it's still fucking.
Have someone else host with a better.
Maybe might have to, miss. We'll try it.
I can't set it up while we're talking either, because if I open it, I'll...
Will it? You can't do NDI.
Well, I can
do it.
But as soon as I open my OBS, it'll ruin your OBS.
Really?
I can do it if you want.
Yeah. If it's just intermittent, I guess we can try.
No, it's pretty shit. We can't have a show like this with the audio. Sorry, guys.
Really?
Well, yeah, no. I'm not. It's just basically my PC is just has had a fart and died on me today, and I think it's time. It's basically giving it up. Time to.
Whenever I check the.
Hang on. Here we go.
Working okay.
Oh, it might be better now. Yes. Okay. Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on. Let's just carry on. I think it just needs time.
Yeah. So I think they're actually gonna. I mean, maybe even another reason that they would try to implement Hurston as soon as they can is because Hurston is going to be a very, very much similar to how they implement content in the game overall. Right? Is like rolling content thing within that city, for example. Very little of it is playable, but it will become more and more playable, or areas will open up more and more as the game progresses over the years, and this will be a way to sort of work that pipeline a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, we're good.
It should be good. I think it's going to be. I suppose we'll have to wait and see, but I think probably by the end of this week, it looks like the patch is good enough to go live. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they take at the end of the week. I think then maybe probably get a bit more of an idea. I think. Hopefully.
Yeah, from a user experience, I don't know. Do you guys think that was there anything in your experience with it this week that you felt like you wouldn't want to have it go live without them fixing X, Y, or Z?
The shops was the only thing. Buying ships. I don't know if you guys were still having the issue where the shops had empty stores. I don't know if that was still a thing.
Yeah, true.
There still are a few issues. I think Mac tried to do that new quest, and one of the NPCs wasn't talking to him, so he couldn't pick up the goods as well. So, still, I mean, it's not crashing so much as it used to, but now things are broken within it. I think it seems to be a little bit more of the case.
Do you still get, when you come out of Quantum as well for some of your ships, you go into you get all your thrusters, vectors all at once? You still get that issue. Is that still a thing in the latest? Because I haven't played Z, because it only came out like the other day. Is still a thing? Because the Saber's fine. The Saber comes out, no problems. But other ships, for some reason, you come out and you just that old bug is back again, where all your thrusters.
I think it's the ship,
the missing door bug's still in there. NPCs won't talk to you from time to time, so if you take a mission, some missions don't even have spawn waypoints anymore. That's kind of like, I took a mission to pick up a black box, and the waypoint never appeared. Random dying, like I was trying to mess around today, and I died outside trying to enter my Aurora, and I've spent a couple 30-40 minutes trying to figure out what caused that that death.
That's nothing. Aurora deaths. That's been in since day one.
I know.
Don't worry about those. Don't worry about those.
Aurora,
That doesn't
you
stop me
just-
pushing it live. Trust me.
That's just Star Citizen culture is what that is.
Yeah, ships killing you is part of the actual experience.
Yeah, it just hardens you up a little bit. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. Missiles are working better though. Missiles actually hit.
Missiles
I haven't
hit.
been around for long enough to like really know what a live patch looks like when it's ready to go live. But I mean, does it have to be almost 100% functional, or can they start working on it in live too?
Technically, they want it so that it's flowing and it's all really nice and
Good question.
playable. However, what generally happens is they get to the point where, because they've promised that they're going to be releasing XYZ on XYZ date, it ends up getting pushed out with whatever bugs are available. This is
Yeah,
probably
and
one of
then
the
you usually
longest
get, like, a
PTU
point.
periods we've had, I think.
Yeah, it is.
That's why now.
It will
Usually
be
what happens,
longer.
you get you get your base patch, you get your major version patch, which is like the 3 dot something, and then you get like another significant increase, which is like your 3.3, which is coming up, and then you'll get like a slightly less significant modification to that branch. And so I suspect, like for example, we have 3.2.2 right. The very last two denotes a slightly not big jump in technology, but some sort of improvement. So they're not afraid. If we go back to 2.6, when 2.6 was pushed out, a lot of people had issues with that patch, crashing, disconnectively bad frame rates, desync, and then we had a 2.6.1, then we had a 2.6.2, and then by the time it got to 2.6.2, everybody was getting much improvements, and they eventually pushed out a 2.6.3, and then they kept that for about a year. And they kept that for about a year.
The holy grail of patches for combat. That was that was the best patch for combat.
Pushing stuff out. They have no problem with pushing stuff out that's a little janky. Usually, what they aim for is playability and connectivity. If you can play it and you don't crash out constantly, they'll be okay with it for a little while. Yeah,
I don't know if they want to like put it out. They don't want to touch it anymore. If it has to be good enough where they don't have to touch live anymore, and they can go back working on PTU, or if they're still willing to tweak live. You know what I mean?
They would normally
do
do
fixes,
it.
but that's that third digit.
Yeah.
Usually, what happens is they'll push it live, and then they'll start working on that third digit, that third increment.
We are so close with 3.3.5 being into PTU as well, and because then we are straight rolling after that, we have 3.4. I think the reality is that to do that, they won't really have time. They'll be straight on to the next PTU, straight on to the next one. So they'll probably try and get as much done now rather than doing those changes. But normally, yeah, in the past they have done it like that. Where this year, I think they've done it. They've just done a couple, numbers and stuff afterwards because they've had time in between to do it. But this time there's just like one, and then they're just giving themselves 3.5, 3.4. Was it 4 weeks? I'm already, because I know from my work, I'm off to Vietnam next week, back again for 2 weeks, then off to Singapore for a week. And in that period of time, I'm just like, that's a crazy 4 weeks for me, or 5 weeks for me. And I'm like, in that period of time, they should, in theory, it'll be 3.3 will be released to PTU. And we'll be knocking on the door for 3.4, surely. But what would you say, December 15th? Because they break up for holidays.
Yeah, they break for the holidays.
That's the
after
timeline they're still trying to stick to. That means they've got to release 3.3 this week to start working on 3.3.5.
Yeah,
I am fully convinced in my head that 3.4 will be very lightweight. We may see ArcCorp get pushed out. We may see a lot of the stuff get pushed out to
That's probably what
3.5.
they'll get rid of a lot. They'll strip it back. I think.
CIG is not afraid of stripping patches down to make it so those patches.
As long as they patch something, they'll probably put one thing in that's significant, so you can say you put it in.
Yeah.
We'll probably get the ships. We'll probably get the ships for 3.4.
On the roadmap, there's not much changes there for 3.4.
No. We'll find out this
week. They haven't touched it.
Yeah, we'll find out this week, Friday.
They ain't got the resources. They ain't got the resources. They're working flat out on trying to fix this one, and then you think about them, then they're trying to fix. Then they're already lining up 3.3. By the time there's no resources there to probably not enough people and resources to get onto 3.4. So the 3.4 hasn't been moving for that fact. It might have been doing a little bit, but I'm looking at 3.4 now, going, and I agree with chat. ArcCorp. I don't know. We'll see about that one. If you were looking at it in terms of 3.4, what would you drop? I would say ArcCorp out, Gas Tech probably gone as well.
Push out, push Gas Tech out.
I would
would
say
like
that's
to see
gone.
playable female models make it, but that could get pushed back. I know the ship stuff's going to stay because the ship teams are usually pretty reliable.
female
Yeah,
models.
there'll be
Plus, it's a
some.
revenue generator, you know.
Yeah, there are going to be some. Well, the ships that are coming with 3, 4 are pretty much reworks. I believe it's the Reliant has a rework in there. The 600i, the Pocket's the only new ship, I
Freelancer,
believe, and the 600i, the
Origin.
Freelancer series. Yeah.
Freelancer,
So it's
Origin,
a lot of old ships are getting touched up.
Origin 600, yeah, 300, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Anvil
That stuff
Hawk
I
is
feel
the
like
new.
is like on lock, though. I mean, if they can put out an Valkyrie from concept to flyable in 90 days now, I think ship stuff is going to be on lock from here on out. I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like the ship stuff's pretty much, yeah, because the ship teams are different from the engine coding teams. So stuff like gas tech and whatever else is in the core tech for 3.4.
Projectile manager, hard surface shading, procedural city rendering, performance. That's a performance stuff. Performance optimization. That's every patch, so they're always improving that. FPS ping and scanning, which will be interesting. But that's done nothing. That will probably go as well. Quantum travel improvements. Yeah, okay, maybe they'll improve that. But ArcCorp is the biggie, really.
I think if they push ArcCorp out, they can get rid of ArcCorp's moons. They can push the ArcCorp's moons out. Sorry, I should say that. They could push ArcCorp moons out. And they can push out the performance improvements for procedural cities as well.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, what if they push that to 3.5? I know everyone would be like, no, I'm happy with Hurston at the end of this year. If I'm honest, to have one planet would be fine.
Keep in mind that Hurston is going to be just Hurston itself is going to be a massive expansion of our play space, and never mind Hurston's moons as well. And the rest stops that are going to come with Hurston.
It's got 4 moons. So we've already currently got, how many moons have we got now? 4 moons, or is it how many we got?
Yella,
Yella,
Daymar, and Delamar.
Yeah, so you got 8. So you got 8 moons and a planet, a massive planet. That's a lot of
not
space.
Necessarily building patches to make players happy, but you could make the argument that OCS was such a big core technology to build in. They could maybe push a little bit of the core stuff they're looking to add in 3.4 over to 3.5, and just continue to add the content that will make people happy, like before Christmas. And that would be like, people would be satisfied with that, because some of the things, like if you don't get a gas cloud tech, or you don't get like
a lot of the stuff on the production schedule this year is for, I in my opinion, is for Squadron 42. The gas cloud tech, that's to make everything look prettier. Hard rendering surface, make the game look prettier. AI stuff, make Squadron 42 funner to play, that kind of stuff.
The whole point of having these quarterly patches was so that they released it regardless of what was done. So, like, it's like, well, what they didn't get done, they pushed to the next patch, so they can release the patch. They kind of, I feel like with 3.3.5, they've kind of gone back on that again now, because they're so desperate to get it in, or maybe they thought they were so close to get it in. But technically, like on the other 2 patches we've had, they've just stripped out stuff that they didn't have time to do and moved it to the next one. So realistically, Hurston may as well have been moved back to 3.4. And then we could have been just releasing 3.3 and working on 3.4, and it would have been Hurston and whatever else they could get done. So now
Chris Roberts
because they didn't stick to it.
Yeah, Chris Roberts didn't want to eat a ration of shit at CitizenCon. He knew if he pushed Hurston to 3.4 from 3.3. After they'd pushed a lot of stuff out of 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 already. Chris Roberts didn't want to be up there on CitizenCon and get booed.
No, I don't think he'd. I only think he'd ever get booed as if, like, they literally said, "Bye guys, thanks for the money. I'll see you later."
Mobile.
I'm selling. We're selling you to EA. I'm selling it to EA. That would be the only time you'd probably get booed. He said, "I've sold the company to EA." Then everyone would probably boo him. But seriously, I don't think he would ever get booed.
Honestly, if I could care less about 3.4 right now. I mean, besides the playable female models that everybody obviously wants. No, I shouldn't say everybody.
There's a lot of people. I'd like a shipjacker. Yeah. I like the
There's a lot of people in the StarCitizen community who want the playable female characters because they've been waiting a while for that sort of thing.
I think that's valid. I think honestly, based on their gameplay demo, I mean, they only ran into one hitch on the gameplay demo, and that was a specific quest. I mean, I don't see it being like, even if people only had the access to the experience they showed on the gameplay demo, I mean, I think people will be happy with that. I mean, it looks ready.
I'm pretty much, if we get Hurston and 3-4 becomes either like, well, whoops, becomes a whoopsie, we skip 3-4, or 3-4 becomes really light, like we get one thing out of the entire list for 3-4. I'd be okay with this year. Honestly, I kind of expected them to miss one patch at the very beginning of this year. Like they said, we're going to do quarterly patches. I'm like, you know, maybe 2 patches this year I'd probably be okay with. If they get 2 major patches out, I'd be all right. And we got 3 good-sized patches on the landing pad already.
For me, would you guys want it to be for them to withhold it? Like, how bad would it have to be? I guess for you guys to be like, I don't even want it until this is. You know,
you're crashing all the if it crashes like all the time, every 5-second
sure.
crash. That would be like that would be pointless. Like to literally
that's the main deal
one frame.
Any
one frame
game breaking is usually what I bring it down to. Anything that interrupts your gameplay session significantly enough. So, like for example, you have a bug that makes it so you can't keep playing. You have to restart the client. If that keeps happening at a consistent interval, like 5-10 minutes, like that's to me that's too much. But if you can find some way to work around in it, like for example, you can't equip this one gun because this gun will bug your client out, and you'll have to talk to customer service. Well, just don't use that gun. I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So that pretty much that kind of stuff. All the stuff we've experienced before. I mean, trust me, there's been a patch where we've experienced bugs that we don't want in game. You know, that just break the game experience.
The ball bug comes to my mind from 3-0, where people got turned into this little floating golf ball, and because you couldn't have any arms or body or head, you couldn't equip a flight suit because you couldn't have an arm with your mobi-glass on, and because you didn't have an arm with the mobi-glass on, you couldn't equip your flight suit, and because you didn't have a head, you couldn't equip a helmet, and if you went outside, you suffocated because for some reason you still had lungs.
Yeah, that's pretty game breaking.
That was game breaking, and the only way to fix that was to buy a new account or talk to CIG customer service, and they would just tell you to wait till the next patch.
So that's what I guess I mean is like if it's short. I mean, those are some pretty catastrophic situations and issues. If it's short of that, if we're talking about people get stuck on ladders for a minute, or you know your quest givers don't work quite right, or you can't turn in a quest or whatever, are these issues to keep from releasing Hurston? I don't think so.
No, not Hurston. ArtCorp. I mean, definitely not Hurston. I want Hurston. I think Hurston at the end of the year. I think they're close. That's pretty much done. Is like I said, if you look at the patch note, if you look at the roadmap, it's 98%. I mean, there could be 2 things that could be a bit needing to be done. I think it's the Lorville landing zone is kind of the main thing at Hurston.
I think it's Lorville is that last percentage of Hurston is the city itself. And I have to address something in chat. When I said Hurston was just a place, art assets tend to be a little bit different in Star Citizen than gameplay stuff or engine stuff. Engine stuff tends to break, like item 2.0 broke more stuff than just adding a moon into Star Citizen, adding a place into Star Citizen, or adding a texture into Star Citizen. So I think Hurston itself will be fairly safe. It won't break the game nearly as hard as, say, Object Container Streaming did, or adding item 2.0 to all the ships, which we're still struggling with, by the way. We still have the weird door bugs coming up. So I think we're pretty safe if we get Hurston. I don't think we're going to have too many issues with the entirety of Star Citizen if Hurston gets added. We could probably just Hurston's bugged. Don't go there. It kills you if you try to get too low. Then people just avoid Hurston and visit the moons instead.
Yeah, if the gameplay trailer is to be believed, or if the gameplay is to be believed, then really it's just whether people can land and take off from there. I think that's the main thing. Otherwise, I think it's ready to be at least put out to like a wave 1 or something.
Definitely. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, let's be honest, it is freaking exciting stuff. I mean, we're so close to having the first planet. I mean, if you tick on my bucket list this year, my bucket list is very simply flight model so that I can do combat again and enjoy it. That's always been my first thing because I love that. That's my game. That's my game style. I know it's not everyone's game style, but that's my game style. So back to a great flight model that works and I have a lot of fun. OCS, performance increasing so that I can do 60 FPS combat. Same type of thing, but I can do my combat in the PU to the same standards I would do if I was in Arena Commander. That for me has been a big thing, and they've done it. They've smashed it out of the park. It's working really well. Yes, we still get a little bit of hitching, but trust me, when you flew the 2.6.3 flight, that had some serious desyncing. So if you can handle that and have a good time a little bit now and again, is nothing by comparison, so I can still handle that.
We are still getting some desync in the data stuff, like ships aren't lining up the way they should be. Like people. I did some PvP in Battle Royale today, and people were hitting me from weird angles, and I was hitting somebody with my guns, not getting any hit markers, not doing any damage. Shields weren't updating, so there is some network side desync. It's going to be a constant work in progress there. But the buttery smooth frame rates, oh my god. Oh, it feels so good.
It's so good. And people who are new to it won't have a clue, really.
I know.
So it's
struggle.
Like... Miz, you're deadly silent, dude. Your mic is muted.
How long has he been muted? Like, he's been trying to participate? Damn.
About 90% of the podcast.
I was just looking at it, even as you're like,
I feel like an asshole, like I was talking over him the entire time. I just didn't notice him.
That's just normal. We're used to that.
Anyways, as you were saying something before we sent.
And in the third, like, so for me, it's like it's the flight model, it's the OCS to enable me to be able to do the combat that I like in the flight model, and then the third thing for me was the ability to buy ships in game. Okay, that was kind of like the three golden things that I wanted for the end of the year, that I was going to judge StarCitizen because it'd been such a long time, and so for me, they have delivered. To a percentage, the ships in game, they've delivered it. We can buy ships. I bought a ship. I have a Buccaneer. I have a ship in game. And I've done that. So that's great. So they've delivered that. OCS is delivered. It's great. The flight model, if they deliver that in 3.5 or 3.4, I can't remember which one it's meant to be in. 3.4. Yeah, that's what I thought it is, but I can't see it here. So I don't know where it is. It's not on the list.
They said it's in the current developer build that all the ships have been changed, and they're not going back. So with 3.4, it's coming, whether we like it or not. Whatever they have,
so
we're getting.
Yeah. So 3.4. So for me, the end of this year is triumph. If you think about where we started in 3.0, where we're ending at the end of 2018, going into 2019, and I'm known as being a very salty person generally, and saying it as is. We are placed tremendously well for a great 2019. I said,
considering
we're so.
I have to say the exact same thing Madness is going to say. And considering where we started the year with 3.0, and I've been saying this, we have to look towards the end of the year with when I was in the worst possible state when 3.0 released as a content creator. I'm like, this is awful. I got nothing to show the people who want to see StarCitizen on my channel. The combat's janky. All you can do is fly around, take screenshots, and do cargo runs with 3.0. I kept telling people, look at the end of the year. Look, everybody who was coming to my channel complaining about how awful 3.0 was, and I had 3.01 or some, all those point patches. I was telling everybody, just hold fast, look towards the end of the year. I am exceptionally pleased with the potential, how we're potentially going to be ending this year. I'm not gonna say we're ending this year great right now. There's still plenty of time for CIG to fuck things up.
Absolutely.
But I think we're gonna do pretty good, even if 3.4 gets pushed out. Even if 3.4 gets completely wiped out, we don't even get a 3.4 this year. If we end this year on 3.35, I will be exceptionally pleased, considering how we started this year.
You just, and I mean, like I said, and they still got time to just add more to this. This is the beauty that CIG is in the position. They have time to go above and beyond. You know, everyone, and that's the thing is I see a lot of people getting salty about things, and I'm sorry about certain things for sure, but you cannot be grumbling. Like, at the moment, we are getting 3 patches in the space of a couple of months, you know, people can say, oh, well, they promised us at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, look at game development. Game development, clearly, I mean, I've been around now, and I'm slowly understanding more and more of this. This shit takes time. It really does. And you can see it all the time. So for me, there are really bad things, and I will be doing a roundup of it for the end of the year. We all know about the bullshit that happened off of the game development, and there are lots of problems within aspects of the game, some of the ship problems and the bugs and all this stuff. But that will get fixed. That always gets fixed eventually. What I care more about is looking at the game parts, the mechanics, the bits that are coming in to make stuff happen.
There's no game that pleases me 100% of the time. There's always issues. Even playing some of my favorite games like Battlefield, Fallout 2. We're going back to play Fallout 2. There's stuff in those games that irritate the hell out of me. That just like, I can't believe they made this decision in this game. This is stupid. If I was in charge of this thing, I'd have done it differently. There's always going to be stuff like that. And Star Citizen is going to be at the same thing.
Exactly. I think that not being an emotionally damaged Star Citizen lover. I, you
You're
know,
new. You're fresh.
yeah,
Being a
exactly.
fan,
fresh
all
off the
I know,
boat.
super fans.
This is all
know
amazing.
when I, 3.3 ish, I was watching it a bit, but then I started, I knew that 3.3, or 3.3 was when I started playing. 3.0 was when I started watching, but then because CitizenCon was coming, started playing 3.3 with the PTU, and just being able to like watch, because I don't have that long memory of pain. I can see what they've done from dropping 3.3 on the PTU, not even for everybody, just from wave one, essentially Evo to wave one, on to where we're at now, and moving forward. It's an incredibly fast timeline from my perspective, because I know how much got dropped into 3.3 in terms of core mechanics and stuff, and now my level of happiness with flyability of ships and FPS combat is really high. So I mean, I'm super juiced and like optimistic about the next half patch and whole patch. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I can tell from watching people who are streamers playing the game, old streamers coming back to test it, not quite happy with the flight model, not quite happy with the combat. There's no question, but they have been playing it. A lot of my friends, and they've said this is a great improvement. I can now play this a little bit every week and not actually hate the game, which is good. Yes. That's a big step forward. They like going, so they'll play it a little bit. It's not where they want it to be, but they can still have a bit of fun, like I do. The other day I had a blast playing it and did all sorts of other things, and I was like, this is very good. I'm really enjoying it, and I know a lot of people similar to me will be doing the same thing. And so for me, it's when that starts to happen. You've got them playing it, you've got new people playing it, such as Snake, who's playing it, and he's just like, you've got the bug. I can see it. I can see the people who are like, they're back again the next day. They started playing another game, but you know what? I want to play Star Citizen, and that's the same thing. We talked about this before on the podcast last week. I always have the bug to play the Star Citizen. I don't know what it is. I have so many other games that I could play, but I just go, what do I play now? I'll play Star Citizen. I'll bust that up. I'll play Star Citizen. It's weird. It's such a, and it's not because I've put loads of money into it. I could have still have my Aurora. Honestly, I'd still just want to play this game. It's just so freaking addictive. It's unbelievable.
You can, like, at this point, at the state the PTU's in, you can essentially, I mean, I did it yesterday or the day before that, play an entire game loop. I mean, you go from getting into your ship on some other space station to flying through, some dangerous areas, maybe having to do some, ship to ship combat before getting to Korea. Your landing in Korea needs to be a decision, and you get on to Korea somehow. You might have to fight some NPCs. You'll have to fight some player characters. You overcome that situation. Maybe you get what you needed there, like clearing your status, and then you've got to get extracted out of there, and that's a whole new mission set and problem set. You finally get out of there with whatever crew and ship that you had to do. Break the blockade, get on there, get out, get back to your base, and get off the ship. I mean, that's a full game loop that includes both PvP and PvE, ship flying, ship combat, FPS combat. It's that I think is really encouraging.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've definitely seen. I mean, we talked about it for quite a while, that frames and that sort of issue has been holding a lot of people back from playing. Like, obviously, the combat side of things is one thing, but just playing the game. And recently, one of the nice things with this patch that we've just had is that there's so many YouTube videos going up of gameplay. Because like we've taken the piss before saying how it's become Screenshot Simulator, because that's basically everybody was doing. They were coming in, look, isn't this pretty? And that's all we were getting was Twitter feeds full of like lovely screenshots, which we still get, and they are nice. But now we're getting like YouTube videos. Oh, look at this big hammerhead battle that we had. And I've seen about 2 or 3 hammerhead combat videos go up. We've seen people just having big dogfights. I've watched Madness playing, and then people jumping on the stream and joining in and stuff like that, which it hasn't happened for ages. People have given up.
Gameplay highlights,
so
right?
This is actually getting people coming in. It's like, wow, people are playing, people are enjoying it. This is what it's all about.
And I hope they don't. It's not like, because we've had before with similar type of thing where things have improved and then it's been 3 steps back. I'm hoping that it will be always steps forward now, no longer little steps back, just constant movement forward all the time. Because I think from the last patch to this one and going forward, it seems to be that's the case. It's been step forward, step forward, step forwards. Whereas previous patches in the 3.0 era, at the beginning of the year, it was just like fucking hell, we're going backwards. And now people will say in the PTU it's been fluctuating because sometimes the patches have been shit, and they have been like, oh my god, this is terrible. But at least they've been pushing them out like crazy, like just constantly. You know, everyone talks about that the Delta patcher. Like you weren't around, Snake, when there wasn't a Delta patcher, dude. Okay, there wasn't a Delta patcher. Okay, so just to put that in context, everything was you weren't there, man. You weren't there. You didn't see that. You had to download the whole game. You know, it was like every patch would be a download the whole game, 30 gig every
Gigabytes,
time.
Yeah. Gigabytes.
Or whatever it was, 60. Yeah, every time.
That was nothing. You're not Evo Carty Madness. We had to do that twice a day sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Introduced
I wasn't even
Gigabytes
there for
already.
that. And so for me, that's been, and that came out this year. That was the Delta patch that came this year, and I think it's one of those kind of, it's just become so used to, it's still forgotten. It's like
People
that was
forget.
massive this year. That was a massive.
It's just
addition
expected.
to this
It's
year.
one of those expected things. Like when you go out in public, everybody's wearing pants, and then you see someone not wearing pants, and it's just like, oh, that's right. That's a thing.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I know I don't have a lot of historical reference for it, which might be good, but you know, I think because of the core technology they've got in there now, and they've demonstrated some very fast pipeline time upgrades, I think that when they tell you that it's these things that they've upgraded will help them speed up, you know, the initial few years are very slow going because you have to custom make all this stuff from scratch, but it gets exponentially faster as you get toward the end of the development cycle. I think we're starting to see some of that, and they've demonstrated some of that with 3.3, and so I'm hoping that that is like becomes the standard. I mean, you start to see some things move much faster than a lot of people have been used to in the past, you know what I mean?
Well, if Squadron 42, based on Sandy's drunken thing, if Squadron 42 does come out in December next year, let's just say this. They've already said this, and I know that you will get the studio, probably 70% of that studio people will be then moving onto the persistent universe for a chunk of time, whilst
Not
they guys.
just that, but a lot of those assets are like reserved.
Old assets, yeah.
So I mean, you're gonna drop a level of content on the universe that's like.
Yeah. I know.
That's probably a bigger part, because like Vandal and stuff, which we know have been made, we're not seeing them because they're being held back for Squadron 42.
Oh yeah,
So,
same with the. There's a lot of assets that are being held back. The Lightning, the F8 Lightning is being held back. The P8 AR, which is the assault right version of the P8.
Environments too, though. Huge
environments,
quantities of environments are not in the game. You know, I mean, entire sectors of the galaxy aren't in the game. That will be.
Chris Roberts is. I swear to God, Chris Roberts is holding back the Idris because they want to have a reveal in Squadron 42. Like, there's people who own interests that could probably. You could throw it into an empty arena commander map and just say, "Here's your Idris. Just load into this special map that only you have access to, and you can walk around your Idris." You're holding it back for Squadron 42.
It would completely take away that thrill that when you first log into Squadron 42 and you get brought on board an Idris. If you've already got one in the PT and do it, there's no way we're going to see that before Squadron 42 comes out.
100%. I agree.
They're just not going to do it.
Yeah, and I don't want them to. I don't want it. I really don't. I want to be, because it'll be too easy. Someone will spawn it, and someone will invite me in, and I want. The thing is, I couldn't resist. Like, I couldn't resist. My own body would be like, I couldn't. Eventually, it's like anything. It's eventually I would go on then. You know what I mean? It'll be eventually be like, go on then, and then I would spoil it for myself. I couldn't resist it. It would be like, oh, you got to check it out. Everyone will be talking. You know, it's like you'd be the kid that hasn't been to the party and everyone's been talking about it. Oh, did you see so and so? Oh my God, it was amazing. Did you see this? Oh no, it was. And you weren't that person that was there.
That party, man.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up?
It was on an Idris. We got the party to the Idris. You weren't invited, unfortunately. Next time. But yeah, I want them to keep things back, and I know that they're going to, so that's good. I'm happy for that. I honestly think anyone that's not is, I think they're that person that does the 5% grind in 10 minutes. They're that person that doesn't really care about that type
I think
of
it's
thing.
going to be mind-boggling. I mean, I think the pace that the universe expands after Squadron 42 gets dropped is going to be like the curtains being pulled open, because
we don't have we don't have server meshing, which is going to be the big increase for Star Citizen, because that's what they need to get all the various instances working together. And that's what's really going to push the, as Chris Roberts said during his road to release, server meshing is like the last pillar, the 12th pillar on the road to release of Star Citizen. Yeah. And they just said they're just going to keep patching. So server meshing fell off the roadmap, like I want to say last month, and then got replaced by a bunch of AI stuff. And obviously it was stuff that was going to be used for Squadron 42. So I think Squadron 42 is definitely going to be coming out soon. December feels about right, if not first or second quarter 2020. And then like Snake said, once Squadron 42 is out of the way, we're going to see a huge rush and stuff to get Star Citizen fixed up, because the second chapter of Squadron 42 is probably going to take a little bit of time to get fixed up, and they'll probably be working on stuff for Star Citizen in interim.
Right. So here, now we've talked enough positivity. I'm going to have a little bit of an interesting one, because we have two people here who have very different views on the Valkyrie, which is great. So HC started his stream the other day with Salty about the Valkyrie, and Snake. I've now spoken to Snake. He's a big fan of the Valkyrie, and so
I gush about the Valkyrie.
So he gushes about it, and HC's kind of got his points on why he doesn't feel, we're just a bit not quite so enamored by it, shall we say? Yeah. So wait, my bets are on Snake, just generally in a 1-to-1. That's all I'm going to say in real life. Because I know Snake. Well, everyone knows anything about Snake in real life.
To my point, wouldn't fuck with him.
In real life, let's put it that way. And I've seen him in Tarkov as well, and he's very good and scary because he's that good at it. But in this situation, you're in our house, and HC's king. So let's see your opinions on it. So we'll start with so Snake, you tell us the positive, and then we'll go positive first, and then we'll go HC. You kind of tell us what you think about it, and then we'll just have a general chat about the Valkyrie, because I don't own one. I've just seen one. I've never even flown one.
I don't. I'm gonna throw this out. I know.
Yes,
I don't necessarily super hate the Valkyrie. There's just some issues I have with it.
Yeah.
But anyways, Snake, why don't you lead us?
Yeah, you go.
So my perspective is coming from, I look at its full mission profile, and the mission that I would like to do, like what I'd like my org to do, and what I would like to do the most in Star Citizen, which is essentially a special ops, type of a thing, where you do either surgical strikes with small groups of elite troops, or you do escorts to deliver personnel, or you do extracts and somebody calls for help, or there's a VIP that needs to be pulled out of a hot zone, and you send in a very select group of people to be able to do that, and the vehicles that you need to be able to support that mission. The Valkyrie is a heavy dropship. What a dropship needs to do that mission is an ability to carry as many of its assets to the target as it can, and defend those, protect them en route, and then defend them while they're on the ground, so potentially support them while they're on the ground. Better if one asset can do that versus having to bring 3 or 4 or 5 ships to do that. So the Valkyrie has an unparalleled ability to bring soldiers and vehicles to a target. You've got potentially almost 40 soldiers that can pile up in a Valkyrie in seats. Now, I'm not talking about like standing in weird spots in the ship. I'm saying you've got 20 in protected, sort of redundant bays, meaning those bays are separated into 2. It could have been one big bay, but it's 2 because they're armored. And if a RPG, for example, makes it through one of them and sets everybody on fire in that one, the other one is still potentially going to make it to the fight. The other thing they do is secure them for evasive maneuvers, right? Obviously, if they ever put in the game the mechanic of, guys bouncing around the inside because
right now you can get ragdolled by G-forces, but you don't bounce around the side of the ship.
Exactly.
The physics grid holds you pretty good, but you will fall over. I know, like I've been in a Vanguard or Cutlass and I blacked out. I just fall over and hit the ground. That's it, and then you stand right back up.
Exactly. So if it becomes an actual like you get hurt or killed through that mechanic, then it's going to make all those seats that you start seeing in these ships where you can pull a thing over the top of you and be secured. That's going to become very valuable. Then we've got the vehicles, right? I think that you can put up to 4 Cyclones in there without issue. They've said that it's designed for 1, but that they think you will be able to put 4. Whether they're going to say you can't maglock all 4 down and you have to fly very carefully somewhere, they might be able to do that. But let's just say for the time being that you can put 4 in there because they fit. That means there's 3 dudes in each TC. You've got a turret gunner, a driver, and what we call in the military TC, but another guy with a rifle, or sitting in there ready to go. That's 3 times 4. That's 12 guys plus the 20. So you've got 32 guys ready to drop onto the fight. You can airdrop those cyclones. Hopefully they keep that because it's an incredibly thrilling part of its mission that we were doing last night. Airdrops of the cyclone out of the Valkyrie, and it's just wicked fun and wicked cool. So in a mission profile, you've got the ability to drop those vehicles out the back. They start driving to the target, lighting the target up with their crew serves on top of the TCs. Now you've got the time to drop these soldiers because you have to at least hover low, if not land completely, to drop your 20 soldiers out. Meanwhile, the 7 hard points on the Valkyrie are raking the target. Now, fire is not always meant to kill things. Sometimes it's meant to suppress things. And if you've got 7 hard points raking the target while you got guys getting out of the back or the sides, that's a lot better than if you have 1 or 2 raking target while guys are trying to get out, while they're getting just lit up and they're trying to find cover. Now, once the guys are out of the Valkyrie then takes off and becomes an aerial gunship. It's a gunboat. You can continue to orbit and light up the target and take down, just like in the gameplay demo, take down threats from the air and continue to support the mission while it's going. And then, of course, at the very end, they can pick everybody up and go home. The only ship that has, I call it a mini hammerhead because of the number of hard points on it. The other thing that it's got is the fidelity to, have a door gunner transition from door gunning to jumping out of the vehicle if he needs to, or if they need to be 2 more soldiers on the target, they can do that. And then you've got all the different larger hard points that are actually like remote turrets. And
good is it against? Well, first thing is what size? I don't know enough about the ship, honestly. If I'm truthful, what size shields does it have? Is my first question. Is it size 2?
I'm not sure what
I can look up the specs.
Okay, so I'm just curious about all that, and then 2 is
the weapons.
How good is it at resisting an EMP?
Well,
if you hit it with an
EMP, I'm not really sure, to be honest.
If you hit it with an EMP, it would fall like a stone, I guess, potentially, and you could kill everyone in one go.
That's true. Now, an EMP is a threat that I'm not sure how they're going to handle in the game because it seems very OP right now. Like a vehicle that can EMP is like you can take anything down, right?
2 medium, so it put the same shield generators according to the ship's stat page, which has never been wrong ever in the history of StarCitizen. The ship stats page, it has 2 medium shield generators, which puts it at the same size as the Vanguard, the Cutlass, the Constellation, and the Freelancer, if I remember correctly.
People are comparing it quite a lot to the Cutlass, aren't they?
I compare it as slightly more like a military version of a Cutlass is the best way. Kind of more polished.
It's a fat Cutlass.
A bit more beef,
and it's from aerial from fighters hitting it. We tested a little bit of like space combat out in it, in the sense that we did a mission where we were just using the turrets basically to shoot down other fighters, and we managed it. Obviously, AI fighters aren't the best pilots in the world, but the more interesting aspect was that we came back with 0 damage to the hull. So we were capable of fighting for a bit and fending off fighters. And not taking a lot of damage. So from a durability standpoint, if you're trying to get out of high orbit and into the atmosphere, it will probably be able to defend itself in that respect. It's not going to be a space fighter by any means, but its job is to get from its carrier in high orbit or from a short jump distance away to the planet's surface, so it can hit its target, right? Now that's completely by itself. Obviously, I don't think we should get into like multiple ship scenarios because wargaming that you start to get into a lot of complications.
Theory crafting, we call it, but you can just start. You can what if a scenario? Oh, what if it came across this? What if it came across that?
I use a lot of escort fighters and all that stuff, but the idea essentially is the most puritanical use of it is like unsupported. What is it capable of, right?
Yeah, and I think
that's what. Go for it, Karen.
Let Vertigo say his. I was going to say about the cargo, and that's one of the biggest arguments, but that's probably maybe something Vertigo will touch on.
Yeah.
So
the first problem.
You go, Vertigo.
The first problem I have with the ship is designed for Squadron 42 and sold to be in the persistent universe. This is obviously a ship that was written for the script of Squadron 42, and it suffers from it. There's a lot of design flaws that it felt like if they had designed it as a space in mind, we'd probably have some better internal designs engineering wise. For example, if you decide to take a nap, you're going to die if someone decides to open one of the doors. And considering 90% of the play space, if not 99.99% of the Star Citizen's play space will not have an atmosphere or have a toxic atmosphere. And in the Q&A, they said this ship is designed to land on planets with a breathable atmosphere. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is going back to Star Trek Nemesis all over again. It's like that stupid rover. It's just like, why would you build an open top rover? Why would you have a crew deck that is open to the elements? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you not have? It also feels like they threw out the modularity stretch goal, the $65 million modularity stretch goal, where they said you can change out portions of the ship. Like, where's the cryostasis pod you could put it? Where's the command and control center you can put in the Valkyrie? They said they don't have any plans for any variants or any modules for this ship. And I'm just like, this ship feels perfect to be able to trade out the vehicle bay for a command and control center, like have a long range communication center in there, like some sort of temporary headquarters or communication software. It feels like you could have a command and control Valkyrie with the dropships.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I know, right? So there's some issues with the design that it feels like it's designed straight for Squadron 42 and then was sold to the backers. I mean, if we keep in mind that everything you buy off the pledge store supports development of the game, then we're fine. Okay.
Fair enough.
It's just these are some engineering concerns, little niggling complaints I have about the Valkyrie.
Yeah.
No, it's. I think they're valid. I think they're all. That's what I said. That's why I want to hear.
Totally valid.
It's all
All
good to
so
hear
then,
about it because I don't.
then
own
we
it.
come
That's
down to
interesting.
why I really dislike the Valkyrie as a ship. I'm an Anvil fanboy at heart.
Yeah.
The last couple of Anvil ships have just irritated me. The Hurricane, which is a turret fighter, which turrets suck currently in Star Citizen. The Terrapin, which is a support ship, a scanning support ship. I like doing PvP. I like dogfighting. Anvil has seemed to be moved towards the support ship role, and then the Valkyrie, which is essentially just a fat cutlass that's a bus with guns strapped to it. It's designed to be a bus that transports people around and a vehicle, and it's literally a broadside of a bus. The thing is fat and slow. It's got a lot of fuel, but it's fat and slow. It's a big target, and we don't know. And it's going to be forcing a contrived reason to have ground gameplay. Why do I? And we go back again. I'm going to go back to that Nemesis. Why do we have a dune buggy in Star Trek? Why do we have ground vehicles when we have spaceships? Spaceships are far superior to any sort of ground vehicle. As we find out on my stream constantly, every time I get behind a Cyclone or a Ursa rover or a Grey Cat, and I manage to tip the fucking thing up on its side, and it's just like, how do I get this thing back over now?
Well, first I can answer your.
It's like
I can answer the first part because if you've ever driven the Cyclone, the race variant, hit that afterburner on a vertical on the edge of a mountain and just gone like through that I tell you right there is worth just having it in on its own. That's what I'm saying because
And then
it's
the tires
so
go
much
up.
fun.
That is pretty much.
Make that argument. I think they're trying to flesh out the universe a little bit more in the sense that, you know, if they want to get, they don't want to go into the video game trope of like everything is hover, everything can hover and everything is that technology and all that
Well, I
stuff. They
understand
want
that, yeah.
still have some things where you have connection with the ground. And from my perspective, as from the gameplay, I love the Cyclone because you feel more connected with the planet you're on and the things you're having to drive around. Now I agree, there's going to be fancier ways to get around, and
it's not necessarily how getting around. It's just that why carry a vehicle when you can just drop everybody on top of the objective? Why?
Well, because
it's a drop ship.
But in military history, they've military technology has gone through that sort of idea over and over again, where it's like, okay, we've got airplanes now, we don't need ground vehicles, or we've got this weapon system now, we're no longer going to need the thing that we to get our hands dirty with this normal ground combat. And historically that's never been accurate. You end up having to do things the old-fashioned way, which is get dudes over there on the ground, and if they have good enough defenses, you're going to have to fight those defenses first and all that type of stuff. I guess the counterpoint to some of the design flaws, some of them sound like justification, but you could make the argument that the beds are for the dedicated crew for the dropship to rest off site if that was what they were going to do. Now,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a stretch. I think that could be cots. I think those spaces could be used for other stuff or
Yeah.
moved downstairs for like the wounded or something like that. Helicopters, as an example, don't really have like they have maybe the ability to pressurize, but most of the time they're not doing that because their mission is to be as close to the troops they're supporting as possible, and that means they have open doors, open tailgates, and if in this world you have to have a suit to deal with that, then everybody's gonna have to have a suit as well. They're not meant to really sustain life support for extremely long periods of time. But I agree. I think it could have been implemented a little bit better.
Well, yeah, we look at some of the internals on the Valkyries, like the pilot's door looks like an airlock, including if the bathroom door is airtight. It's like, okay, so you got an airtight bathroom, and you have the pilot's protected from the back room. Also, the lower turret's also protected from vacuum because it's behind the two airlocks for the crew, the Marines. And it's just like, can't you just put some glass between the upper deck and the hangar, and then put like an air shield over the ladder? That would pretty much check that box right there, no problem. And they can scratch the glass up as much as they want. You know how CIG, they like to scratch glass. There's the thumbprints all over it.
Maybe they'll do.
Sorry,
Maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll do it. Like you said, I think you're right. I think it was put in for Squadron 42, and maybe they will.
It's part of
add
that. I
a few
mean,
things.
they are trying to justify it as well, though. Like they are trying to say that this is purely a dropship. It's not meant to be a long-term stay on the ship for the troops.
Well, yeah, I understand that. It's not. But the
Filled
crew
up and
compartment.
taken somewhere.
If the crew has beds, then why expose the crew? This is just from an engineering. This is just from like an IRL. I understand the Star Citizen's a game, and I wanted to point out Whitesnake said like, oh,
it's
in
cool.
In the real life, the military does blah 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 blah. But in a video game, you can kind of throw some of that out and use your imagination. Like we have shields in Star Citizen. What are shields capable of in Star Citizen? We don't know. We just make that stuff as we go.
That's true. They have atmosphere shields too, though. You can maintain atmosphere within the shields too, potentially. So maybe that's part of it. I think that I think if you compare it to, if your argument is that dropships are not a role or not a necessary role in the game, that you could potentially make that argument based on the enemies that they have to fight on the ground. Maybe there isn't going to be a real need to bring troops in that fashion. But if you think that dropships are a role in the game, you compare it to the rest of the field that would compete with it. There isn't really a competition. There's no comparison. You've got the Vanguard, which I love to death.
The hoplite,
the hoplite is amazing and super cool as a hybrid. Like it's got this incredible ability to fight in the air or in space and carry a few troops to boot. But it doesn't compare in its ability to bring troops and vehicles to a fight. And then the other dropships.
The Cutlass is the only one. I'd say the only one that at the moment that would be relatively similar would be a Cutlass.
If we go back to the theory of the technology of them having ragdolled people inside, like little, when you want to know what it's like to be inside of a dryer, with a bad pilot in a Cutlass, like you can ragdoll your entire crew inside that. If you don't care about your Marines maybe making it to the ground, like you can just use a Cutlass to just shove everybody in standing room only.
Exactly.
We need
that
to
would
see
be.
that. We need to see that gameplay fleshed out, though, to really have an opinion on that.
The Cutlass is a smaller. I agree. I think, like I said, the Anvil, the Valkyrie is kind of the steroid version of the kind of Cutlass. Is kind of beefier and designed for a more serious action kind of. But if you needed something to kind of quickly, if you were in a small skirmish, a Cutlass would probably do pretty well. You could have your mate, one or two people inside with handguns, RPGs. You can have railguns or whatever inside, firing from that to potentially to offer a bit of defense. It's got good shields, good armaments. It's got a turret. It's a decent. It would do a reasonable. Like, there's a cheap man's version, I guess, in a way, of a Valkyrie.
Sure.
But so it's Drake. It's Drake. That's what it's meant to be.
One of the
right?
things I wanted to try to illustrate in I'll be doing a YouTube video talking about all these things, the reasons I think that the Valkyrie is great, and obviously hitting on some of the things that I think could be improved on it. But I really think that if you saw a Valkyrie doing its job in a real scenario where you've got 40 people on board and you're coming into a hot zone and all 7 turrets or all 7 hard points on the thing are going bananas. It's a porcupine coming in there, and they're airdropping cyclones out of the back, and guys are getting off really fast, and they're pounding the ground with it from the air afterwards and stuff like that. I think the value of it would be pretty easy to see compared to whatever else you would try to do that mission with. But I agree. I think they could optimize it. I think, honestly, they've almost flat out said that the reason you can't put cargo in the back is because they feel like it would be too OP if you could do that. It's just a meta issue.
Basically.
And so maybe they'll go back on the modularity thing. They're like, hey,
I mean,
if we can't come up with a
Yeah,
Maybe-
maybe come up with a reason. It said in the Q&A they're still trying to find out lore reasons why you wouldn't be able to put cargo in a vehicle on
Exactly.
the same pad.
Yeah,
And to me, that
exactly.
feels kind of like a cheat. That really kind of irritated me. That I legit felt like in my chest. I'm like, oh, why would
Yeah,
they
I
say
agree.
that?
Make it a small
It's a
amount.
little bit of a
I would
cop-out,
say.
a little bit of a
I'd
cop-out.
say make it a small, so it doesn't carry a huge amount of cargo,
Yeah,
but you
10
could
to-
put a few
10 to
things
12
in.
cargo done.
Yeah.
If you find something
Yeah.
out in the world and you can bring it back with
Check
like
it
an
out.
Ursa or your base Cyclone,
Yeah.
and you can just unload it and go back for another trip. Keep coming back with cargo. Like I would like that idea. Just like, hey, we found some nice cargo out here. Let's just throw it on the plates real quick.
Or
And
you
you
could
know what?
make
you can-
some. You
do you
could
know
kind
what
of
they
hedge your
might do?
bets. It could be like to do that, you'd have to add a little bit more stuff into the bay that would give you the ability to tie cargo down, which would reduce the size of the bay to smaller than it is, but it would allow you to lock cargo down.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
something
something
like
that
that.
we haven't seen yet, which could be the answer. It could be potentially be we don't know about small vehicles that can carry boxes and cargo, like Miz did a forklift truck. But imagine just like a kind of a little open
my
back
God.
truck, for example, that has
done
it's like a minivan or whatever, but it's open.
flatbed.
It's just literally just a flathead. Yeah, exactly. And you literally, and it's like a lockdown point, and you can put boxes on it. You could load that up onto the Valkyrie, and that's just locked down on the
Yeah.
bit like a cyclone,
want-
and it's
if
got
you
its
want-
own cargo.
Yeah, if you want one SU worth of storage space or 4 SU worth of storage
Yeah.
space, just load the base Cyclone in there. Now you can load
Yeah.
4 cargo crates.
Yeah.
4 Cyclones.
I
in there.
mean,
It's
yeah.
a stupid cheat. The level of mental gymnastics that Saji's going through about this no cargo thing is just
Yeah.
it just befuddles
The-
me. It's like
the main-
yes, you
the
can.
main
You just got to put a
reason
vehicle in there with cargo in the vehicle.
With
Yeah,
cargo
but
in the
the
vehicle.
main reason is they don't want they basically got in their head because obviously they kind of we first of all saw where things were doing multi-role, and then obviously it means they sell less ships because if you're making a specific ship that does something, it means they can have more ships, more things to just do specific roles. And I
Yeah.
think that's what they're aiming towards. They want to pigeon like it used to be. It started off being more modular, and whether it's become more complicated because they have said there's been issues with trying to make things modular. It's a bit like the Cyclones. Although all you're doing is changing the thing on the back, they're saying that they're variants. They can't do them modular, and everyone's like, well, why not? But it's
That
like
was a stretch goal. It was a
they-
$65 million stretch
I'm-
goal. The
yeah,
modularity
but
stuff.
they
And it's just like they
finding it too
literally give you.
difficult.
Oh my
Yeah, but
God.
they're even finding it too difficult to make these modular ships, and they don't want to fuck about with the technology to do it. Or it's like
Because the reason
well,
why is
I think-
because back when we were doing 65 million, you thought we were going to be freelancer. You weren't going to be able to see the insides of your ships unless you got to a certain size.
possibly.
and they were
Yeah.
just-
I
But
think
mean,
part of
that's
it
fair
too is
enough, you can't-
parity. I mean, in the game, I think what you're talking about too, Miz, is that if they make everything have a variant for everything, then there is nothing. Nothing is
Yeah.
different from each other. So they've got to start making some ships that only do one thing and do it really well for you to have a reason to
Well, they-
buy it over using a multi-mission.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
10 to 12
they-
SUs, 10 to 12 cargo units inside the back of the Valkyrie to placate the people who are immune.
Yeah, I
about
think they'll do
this.
that. I
It
honestly
wouldn't
think they're
break
going to
anything.
rework the bedding area and rework the cargo situation a little bit. I do think that they will go back and probably polish that a little bit. But
I
from
mean,
a
they have-
practical standpoint, I think that the vehicle is very good at what it does.
Yes,
They have
it
said
is.
before as
If,
well.
go
Partly
ahead,
is
sorry.
if you make everything the same. So if everything's modular like that, they're saying that basically, like any other game you play, people will find the meta, which is the best ship, and then they'll only play that. So everybody will only be playing cutlasses. And that's what they're
But
worried
we're
about.
going to have that anyways. People are going to find the ship that does the role they want to
Well,
do the
not-
best, and then they're going to have that in their hangar.
If they have
they'll-
the role that does the best, yeah. But then you're still forced to fly different ships, so not everybody's going out in a cutlass
Yeah.
because it's the best cargo, it's the best fighter, it's the best airdrop ship. It's
Well,
what I
we
mean? It's-
don't know. Like once we start getting server messaging, we start having more people stay in the server. For all we know, people have they'll fly around in fleets of 20 cutlasses because nobody can deal with that. It doesn't matter what ship you bring. 20 cutlasses
may
can
well happen.
deal with anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
people want to be able to do everything and everything, and
Could
that's just. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard no because you, of course, want to say yes, but they, if they have to buy another ship to do another thing, that's part of the living, breathing universe, you know.
I
So,
think,
my-
part
I'm
of the
gonna
difficulty that- Go on, sorry.
I'm just gonna sum up my complaints here real quick, just so we
Yeah.
can codify. I'm gonna have to leave. I'm gonna have to get going here in a little bit. I got to
Okay.
the bank before it
Okay,
closes.
dude.
So it's essentially a role I don't want to play in the game. I do not want to be a goddamn bus driver. I want to be a fighter pilot. So I don't want to fly a Valkyrie ever. I don't want to ride one because it's a big goddamn target. It's just a multi-kill for someone's torpedo boat, in my opinion.
To be fair, that's not on its own. There's not on its own in that category. There's a shit ton of ships that are torpedo targets.
But it's, in my opinion, the Valkyrie can suffer from what's called the what some of my friends would call the Red Orchestra syndrome. Red Orchestra syndrome, which is you have 3 Panzer IVs in front of you. You're driving a T-34, and there's three Panzer IVs, and there's a half track. Which one do you shoot at first? The half track gets killed every time because it's a one-shot kill. So people will take the lightly armored juicy target first, and I think that's what's going to happen with the Valkyrie. People are going to see the Valkyrie kill that thing, and if you're inside of it, you're dead. I don't particularly care for the gameplay. I want to fly it. It's a big target, broadside of a barn. It's very conspicuous, and it's got some engineering stuff, but I think the engineering stuff can be fixed pretty easily. The beds, the upper crew deck being open to vacuum potentially, and the lack of cargo. Other than that, other it being just another ugly utility anvil ship that I don't really care for. Couldn't have been an Aegis ship, CIG, please? Couldn't the Aegis get just another ugly ship in their lineup instead? We could have had something like a saber.
You're an Anvil fanboy. You're kind of heartbroken over here. Oh, he's heartbroken on the Anvil side.
I see this ugly. It's an ugly fucking brick. It's just a fat cutlass that's a bus. And it's just like, this is an anvil ship? Please, CIG,
it's been
please
failure.
Stop.
Failure after failure. It's like, oh my god, the Hurricane first, and then now it's but you know what? They can turn all these things around. They could turn this.
All you want is another fighter.
Give me another fighter, please. I'll be happy.
Hey, do you know what?
Give me the Hawk and nobody gets hurt.
It's coming. It's coming. Have you not seen it? The arrow. Anvil's getting the arrow. The arrow. And if you haven't, hang on. Let me see if I can. So if anyone does everyone know about the arrow? Sorry, because if you don't know about the arrow, spoilers. Spoilers. So I have it here. So the link was they found in the coding. Found in the 3.3 game data about the oncoming Anvil arrow, which basically looks like a similar kind of size to the Gladius, I think, in terms of the output. It's got a CF-17, Scorpion GT 215, power plant size 3, maybe not a starter. It looks like it's not. That's a Gladius.
Power plant. It's size 1 power plant. Yeah. It's going to be the same component size as the Gladius. From the looks of it, and it looks like it sounds like it's lighter armed than a Gladius. It's going to be very light.
2 size 2s. Yeah, it's not got size 3s. It's got size 2 Scorpions, unless that's on the size 3 hard points. Is it size 1s on the size 2s? No, because it's got CF K&W size 1, Scorpion GTS size 2s, Cooler Bracer size 1s, Power Plant Regulus. I mean, we don't know yet, but this is just based on the stuff about it. So from what they were showing, it's interesting. I would say wait and see.
But anyways, I need to get going. Sorry,
all right,
everybody. Gotta
all right,
run.
Thank you.
Had a great time.
Cheers, buddy.
See you in the verse, everybody.
This will put this to the test.
Podcast.
No, this will put it to the test. We'll see what happens.
I can counter his arguments.
Yes, you can.
Yes, now you're not here to defend yourself. Shit. All right, they broke it, but don't worry. It broke it, but don't worry. Everybody relax. It is fine. Here I was thinking that this wouldn't be a thing, but it is still a thing. It's still a thing. Don't worry, guys.
Did it break it?
Look, we'll get a really big snake. It'll look really, really good. He did break it, but I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Basically, we've been testing out this new NDI thing, guys. Ooh, the snake's gone all weird. Sorry, guys. There we go. Snake. Yeah, so every time I hear the snake, I have to go full.
I get 2 slots.
There you go. And there's miserable giant Miz. It's just it was such a great game. Right, there's Miz. It's looking really squashed.
Then while he's setting up, you can do your counter arguments. Go.
There we go.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the argument is generally that mission won't exist, and in my opinion, it will. I think you will have to get your guys to a very well defended spot. Some people were saying that that's just PvE. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think that you're gonna find. Let's put it this way. Let's say you want to get just the 20 guys that go in the seats to a target. How are you gonna do that? You're gonna take a cuddy that has to open a garage door and a big thing that goes down. and fly it in and have it all gollywampus down on the ground and have guys like having to pile off of that. How are you going to have them all fly their own fighters? You're going to have them all pile out from, it's how are you going to get those troops to where they need to go safely if it's a hot zone? If it's not a hot zone, get a Hercules and put everything you want in it and more. But if you need to fight your way into an area, whether it's PvP or PvP, I think you're going to need a ship like that. I just really.
I mean, they've already said that they've got like restricted zones, so you're not going to be able to fly in with your ships and do drop your troops into a more close area or something.
Carry on.
It's a shame it like you said, you can fit 4 cyclones in it. Like, why restrict it to just the one when they feel like it could have had a couple at least, so that like you got a couple of ground support vehicles to support the ground troops would have been nice.
Sure.
That's what
And one thing that I think is great about CIG is they have shown over and over again a willingness to refine things even after they've been made, which a lot that asset is shipped, and we're not going to return to it for quite a long time because we have other priorities. But they don't do that. They see a ship and like all the reworks that are coming out right now, they're like, listen, we've been learning as we go here, and we see some areas that we can really polish up pretty quickly, and we're going to do that right now. We're not going to wait till later on. We're gonna do it now. So I don't think that they will avoid considering returning to that design at some point.
I mean, it was the first ship that they've gone wham straight into the game from without any concept or anything.
Exactly.
So definitely. I mean, they and saying like adding a little bit of cargo or allowing you to strap two vehicles down rather than one, that wouldn't necessarily affect it in Squadron 42, because if this is a Squadron 42 ship, obviously they can't change it dramatically without affecting what it's going to do in Squadron 42, or depending on when it's released, sort of thing. So it has to be changed across the board, which is partly probably why they don't try and change it too much. Yeah, I mean, there's things that they can tweak.
Okay, we have a question on this because we're talking about ships, Miz, which is you're kind of talking about it. It's from anonymous. An anonymous coward says, "At what point does ship customization become modularity? What do you think would be an appropriate level of customization to check that modularity checkbox, e.g., the cutlass, door guns, layout, paint jobs, and stuff like that? What do you guys think? I mean, I definitely want cutlass to have gun doors, and I don't see why they can't do the little hard point markers on some of these ships to be able to mount them, to buy them and mount them on it. I don't. So for me, but does that make it? Is that modularity? No, I think that's customization, and I'm cool with that. I definitely think that with I've got a Cutlass Blue, which has got, obviously they promised in the way it was sold to me was that it would have modular compartments, so I could take out the cages out the back, and I can mix it around because I want to do bounty hunting and I want to track people and get the kill or whatever it is and bring them back. But I don't necessarily want to have 12 prison things. I might just want to have 2 in the back there and have a bit more space to put other things in there, like a vehicle, or do you know what I mean? I want to have a bit more flexibility with it. So for me, is that modularity or is that customization? What do you got? I mean, I think that's customization, but it might be it's just the same thing. I don't know. Maybe they are there together.
Yeah, I think the line is, what is the role of the ship? And modularity should continue to serve that role in different ways. I think if modularity makes that ship's role different completely, now you're talking about a ship that's multi-role again. And how many ships do you want to be multi-role? So in the Valkyrie, if you want it to be able to carry supplies to the mission and fewer vehicles, that would be a justification for adding a module where it reduces the number of vehicles but increases your cargo for supplies. Or if you want a medical team to be able to have some medical treating stuff in there, maybe that's a module, but it still helps further its mission of direct support and carriage of troops to the target. Whereas if you were to be like, oh, well, now we can get rid of all the weaponization, make it 100% cargo, and now it's a cargo ship. That takes it out of its initial role, and I think it waters down the entire ecosystem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same. I think in terms of modularity, to me, would be, so for example, if you use the Valkyrie, if you've got the 2 carports or a carport, and then you took that out so it can no longer take the car, but it took cargo, that's modularity. You've changed its role, what it can actually do. or even taking the troop drop out and making it into something different. Just customizing it, like say you said, bolting 2 guns onto the side of the Cutlass. To me, that's just adding maybe something extra it can do. That's not really changing its role. It may mean it can do a little bit more than it could do before, but you're not completely changing the role of it. But I think once you start messing about, like they said in the Avenger Titan or the Penguin one, where you can take the thing out and it would be an EMP. If you completely take that out and then put bounty hunter cages in it, you've completely changed its role. Therefore, whereas if you just stuck a gun in the back, so that when the back door flapped down, you could shoot someone. That's more customizing it so that you've just added a big gun to the back. And I think to me, that's probably the difference.
Yeah, I mean, an example of something that I think is like a gray line, like the Vanguard line. I love the Vanguard to death. Don't get me wrong. I hope they don't touch it and don't change it. But it almost feels like if they want to have a variant of each of those, do torpedo bombing or EMP strikes or troop carriage or all these types of things, and if they can do all those things in different variants, yet retain the ability to be a top 2, top 3 fighter in the universe, I almost feel a little bad about it. I'm like, I feel like you should have to give something to get something. That's the idea. If you have a scale of 100 on the roll of that vehicle, if you want to add another function to it, you got to take 30 away to put 30 back in. You know what I mean?
But it also can gather fuel. That motherfucker can gather fuel, like, so he can actually keep going and fly on. Like, I couldn't believe it when I read it. I was like, so this is a heavy fighter and it does all these other things, plus it can keep generating fuel for itself so that it never runs out and keeps going somewhere. I was like, what?
It's like they were planning on doing that for a lot of ships, though.
It's a champ. I mean, it's a champ of a vehicle. Yeah, maybe they'll have like engineering stuff you can add that functionality to. But yeah, I mean, the whole variant, quote unquote, variant thing is the slippery slope in my opinion.
They originally planned modularity, but I think that's what's happening. Is the problem with it is it waters down all the ships. You start getting people flying a whole lead to take it into a great big bombing ship rather than a cargo transport or something, and then it just completely. Then you'll never ever anyone use a bombing ship because actually, oh look, this whole lead can carry so many more bombs. Exactly. This is so much better. And I think that's the problem. And it's all very well saying, "Oh, it was a promised bracket stretch goal," but they've already said that it's got to work. There's no point just putting it in because it was what we promised, what they said it was to do. If it breaks the game or it's physically not possible for them to do it, then they're going to discuss it and choose not to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're making a game that Chris wants.
Exactly right. And a lot of these roles that these ships are supposed to fill with a pinpoint accuracy level don't exist in the game yet from a mechanics standpoint. But we're assuming that they will, like data running, or like he's talking about if I'm assuming they're going to build in a need to have a ship to protect troops to get to a target, or there's lots of roles that are in there. I mean, just the chairs in the ships. The fact that the chairs have a lockdown mechanism, there's no reason in the game yet to have that. But I'm assuming that those reasons are driving their ship design and all that stuff, and you'll want a ship for the job. If you really need that job done, you'll want to get the ship that does it the best.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's that because we haven't got everything already in. There'll be a point where people are saying, "Oh, why can't it carry cargo?" What their aim is, that you won't want to carry the cargo. Okay, forget the little bits of ammo crates, and I get that, and hopefully they'll add something like that. But in terms of like turning it into a cargo carrier, you won't want to. There'll be another ship that will just outshine that massively.
Exactly.
It's not what you want from that ship. It will be the role that it's set for, and when we get all the other roles in. It's like saying, "Oh, can I have a mining laser on the back of one of my ships?" Sure, but you really wouldn't want to when you could go and take a prospector, which you can fill up and actually take the cargo away from. So I think that's the thing. Until we get all the stuff in the game that fits all the individual roles, people are going to kind of want their one ship. Plus, I think also people do have their favorite. So this is my one ship that I absolutely love, and then you can't help but you want to be able to do everything in it because you might not. A lot of people tend to have a favorite. They don't want to change their ships. No, this is the one I really love flying. This is the one I want to carry cargo. This is the one I want to go mining in. This is the one I want to do everything in. So it's you got that little difficulty thing as well, because I think everyone wants their ship to do something. But yeah.
it is interesting. It's interesting that they most games don't do that, right? They don't put in a tool for a
mute
job
myself.
before the job exists in the game. And so it takes a little bit of a shared vision to see these ships come into the game before the
Oh,
need shows itself. You know?
Yeah, I
But
mean, this is a very old conversation about what comes first, and then the funding the game on ships. I mean, we could be been around this merry-go-round many times, and I'm not going to go around it again. But it's a big one, and we could dedicate literally a whole 3 hours just to probably discussing whether that's right and if ships should come out early. Like we've had like you say, the Valkyrie literally just was like released, and you could buy it. I like that personally. I've been campaigning for that type of a system where you don't get huge weight. If you board a ship, you see the concept and you get it. More of that, please, for CIG. But I'm just gonna, because we have a few things. There was another thing beside the Valkyrie. So first thing is, one little thing I was going to say is, do you not find the armor really boring on the heavy? Do you find the armor, like this is a picture, I just find it really bland. I don't know about any other people. Let me just kind of like, if I bring up the picture, I just find that really boring.
I was talking
so
about sort of
generic.
game design from the weapon and
Nice
armor
picture.
perspective yesterday, and it's a challenge. The sci-fi trope is really hard to navigate in from a game design perspective, I think. And I compared it to Destiny in weapon design. Creating a sci-fi gun, for an example, is easy to make it look sci-fi, but hard to give it character. And Destiny, knowing early on, and there, this is not a Destiny conversation. I'm just saying, from a game design standpoint, they knew early on that weapons would be a huge character part of the game, and so they put a lot of effort into getting people that were good at creating not just one unique design, but many unique designs that would stand apart from each other because you're looking at it all the time. And the armor is the same way when it comes to sci-fi. And I think a small percentage of their armor looks terrific and looks like identifiable from across the room and makes you feel good about it. Like I love one of the heavy pieces, but the rest are kind of like, some of them kind of blend together a little bit. They don't have identifying features. The weapons are similar. I feel like the new Karna is awesome and feels good and feels unique, but some of the other rifles kind of are a little bit typically boxy and don't really seem different to me or feel good to me. So I think they'll get, I think, to a point where they differentiate all those things a little bit more from each other. But I agree with you, as it stands right now, they're a little bit typical sci-fi armor-ish, is what I would say.
I wonder if it's because they're kind of pushing down this, like, because we're all from the human side and keeping it more, maybe because of Squadron 42, possibly, keeping it more military, because Squadron 42 is going to be more military based. So whether we're just seeing that being fleshed out a lot more than other designs at the moment, and we'll start to see other designs, because Jay Lee's already said that he's posted like sheets, concept pictures and concept, like artwork for clothes and I think armor as well. I think it's just a case of, I don't know. I feel like it's all at the moment very much not even that futuristic. It's kind of still looking at almost like Earth weapons and standard armor, not too that sci-fi to a degree. It is quite safe, but I do think this is just one set or one sort of theme that they're running down, and I think we'll see more, especially when we start seeing the pirate stuff coming in a little bit more and things like that. I think hopefully we'll see. See, the thing is, sometimes they do wacky designs, and then you get half the community that moan about that and say, "Why the hell have you put?" I saw someone say, "Why the hell have you put mesh over the visor thing?" And it's like, well, sometimes people like things looking cool rather than necessarily, looking totally practical. But you're not going to please everyone.
Okay, we have two more topics before we'll wrap it up, because we had so many problems at the beginning of the show, unfortunately, which you won't see on YouTube, by the way, because there was no problems. The first question is $200 million backer reward. When we hit 100 million, we received a 2943 war bond to put on our wall of our hangars. What would you like to see for backers as a reward for when they achieve the 200 million mark? And that goes to chat as well. What would you like? What would you like?
I've already got my idea. You go, Miz.
I don't know. You've got one already. Who say it? Mine's something like an orange hat, so don't go with that.
I would think it would be a little bit. I mean, I know the hanger stuff and the putting accoutrement onto your like livable hab space and stuff like that is going to be a thing at some point. Maybe it would be cool, but most people won't see it. I think since you already have one of those things to put up, I think it would be cool if they had like how they do special edition pistols for people, like a chrome and gold plate 1911 pistol for somebody that you give that away to a soldier that's leaving a unit, and it's not really I mean, it could be a weapon that you use if you chose to, or it could be just a decoration that you put up for people to see. I think it would be cool because you could do either with it. You could, a pistol is not a game changer. It's not going to break any PvP or anything like that. But if it looked kind of swaggy, you would at least be able to see it. Some people might have a chance to see it, or they'd see it on your hip, for example. That would be a cool way to like set yourself apart. It would give you something that you can actually use in the game, like something to shoot, but it wouldn't be overpowering. And it would be it could be maybe really Gucci.
Maybe like a special Moby glass, so that if someone that was around at the time, you can just see it. It's not really gonna. It's just like a special skin, I suppose, so that you can see it. Someone that's got it, but it's not like in your face got it, but you might just be, you might catch out the corner. You're like, oh, look, that was someone that was there when we reached 200 million or whatever. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, see, I go with completely unpractical. So you guys have all gone pretty practical and really kind of cool. For me, I would really like them to have Sandy's 200 million handbag in the game as like a feature. That would be kind of my thing, because she was famous for. I think they had a camera. I think on one of the I think it was either the anniversary sale or something, where she had her handbag was kind of on the screen. And it was like she's talking about it, and it was like how much money, and she's obviously talking about handbags
in the game.
Well, no, I know, but I was just like, it would just be kind of like just a stupid kind of like. I know everyone wants practical things, but I just love them to just have like Sandy's handbag in game. Like kind of just like they had the lamp. Just the lamp would be a good thing, like just these little kind of nods to things that only people who kind of understand and be like, why the fuck is there a handbag in the game? Do you know what I mean? Like, what
That's
the fuck?
Pretty subtle though. That's pretty subtle for 200 million.
I know. It's just kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. A spaceship would be my number one on the list. A nice spaceship with a really cool skin would be more than happy to have that. But if you were trying to just think of fun little things, like I would love them to think of something clever like that as well, where there's kind of a story and something that just kind of only people who kind of know and have been around would kind of get it, and it would be kind of, you'd have to talk about it. So,
but like that idea. Hey, I would be a fan if they just did something that they're already planning on doing anyway. But like, hey, everybody gets a hab, like. Like ready right now? Yeah, sweet, cool. Yeah. Let's go to our habs.
That'd be cool. And apart, I mean, I think that when Squadron 42, I think everyone should. If you complete Squadron 42, I've said before, like a Roman soldier, you get land effectively. So you get a plot of land, or you have potentially an apartment or something like that. Not a croc. You don't get a croc for completing, and that's not going in game. Hell no. Hell no.
In the game.
Honestly, your Crocs look better than my Crocs.
Hey, do you know what would be funny?
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, no!
That is absolutely
He was so cool. He was guaranteed another return trip to the show. He was guaranteed to come back again, guys. Say goodbye to Snake. Last time he's ever on the show. His career is definitely not going to happen now anymore, because where's Crocs?
Manus' replacement, guys. We have now found Manus' replacement.
No.
Hello, Snake.
To be fair, I don't blame you. Look at that DSLR. It's just making me. Like, I was saying to Miz, honestly, I said to Miz the other day, once you've tried a DSLR and you've seen the picture quality of what it can do, going back to my 1920, which I thought was, my 1080 Logitech 920, it's just painful. It's like it's
hard,
just
I
not.
know.
I can't go. I
So
have to get.
basically, you can't go back on until A, we get new cameras, or B,
Yes.
you get a shit one.
Yeah, we'll send you we're sending you a crappy one in the post.
Send you a 920.
Asylum. It'll have VoIP and VoIP on it. It will have VoIP. It'll be the CIG version one.
No more cameras. That's it.
No
We're just
cameras.
going back in the game. We're gonna have all VoIP cameras.
That's yeah. So
Level
yeah, okay,
playing
200 million. I think there's some good things. And then hang on a second, there was another one. Yeah, and the last talking point, because it's a big one. We've talked about it before on the show, like way back when, but it's the same thing. And I'll bring up the picture because it was very interesting again. Like I said, RTV was the winner for me this year. And we'll just bring it very quickly, and then we'll come back to this page because this page doesn't kill my computer, whereas the other one does. Is the Titan mech suit versus the Titan. So basically, they mentioned and they talked again about the tech Titan versus the mech suit, which I saw this was so funny. It's such a great picture on Reddit. I had to put it up there. Triggering, but we talked like HC was talking about the Valkyrie and talking about what's the point, ships being more powerful. Well, if you actually think about it, like land-based combat and stuff, there's actually going to be quite a lot. If you think we've got Nova tank coming, we've got the Titan suit, we've got all these different other land vehicles. We're going to have probably many more land vehicles before the game is released. Anyway, we'll have civilized. We'll have civilian land-based vehicles, I'm sure. We'll probably have mining land-based vehicles, more exploration land-based vehicles, probably to a degree. I wouldn't be surprised. So, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on the ground. We've got a huge planet coming. You need to do stuff on the ground besides flights and stuff. So, and then now they're introducing the Titan suit. It's not a mech suit, which is very different because Snake had on, you were looking at the pictures of the Valkyrie, wasn't it? I think it was in the vault, and there was it looked like I don't know if it was the Valkyrie, wasn't it? It had literally. If you screen grab it or something and then chuck it in the Discord channel.
Yeah, we'll do.
Sealed down in a Valkyrie.
Chuck it in general in the Asylum general, and then I'll see if I can grab it.
Cool.
But yeah, they had that up on the. I don't know if anyone else has seen that in the vault, but I was really interested because the first time I'd seen, besides the stuff they showed over a year ago, where they showed kind of it looked like the District 9 kind of exo suit, which you kind of get into, and I think they've obviously done more because they didn't want to talk about it, which was really interesting. They said, can we talk about... They looked at each other and they were like, can we talk about... No, we can't talk about it. So I was just like, no, tell us. I want to know. I really want to know because obviously with... is it Anthem, the new movie... Not a movie, sorry, game that's coming out, which has... Looks like kind of Titan suits in a way. Yeah, they almost look like they have Titan suits.
They are Titan suits. They climb in them.
Yes,
put it in the chat already.
And how we were talking about cockpit. A mech suit got a cockpit, whereas a Titan suit doesn't have a cockpit. But then it's like, well, it's going to have joysticks, right? And it's going to have some sort of, unless it's an Iron Man suit. Then he said Iron Man suit, and I tell you what, honestly, I was so hard when he said Iron Man suit. I was like, oh please, with rockets. I was just like, I think about jumping out of a spaceship with an Iron Man suit. Think of the power at Superman landing, like the hero landing with your fist down. Huge. That would be insanely cool. Sorry,
I think that the idea is great of a mech suit. I think it's because you need to think too of the
Hang
ways.
on. Did you just say mech suit? When Snake says mech suit, Sean Tracy's face. When Disco calls the Titan a mech suit.
What is it?
It's a Titan suit. It's not a mech
Titan
suit.
suit. Whatever.
Yeah.
Titan suit. Titan is the marketing propaganda put out by whatever company they're going to choose to make it. But yeah. So I think that it's important because right now you see like there's turrets to defend a ship coming in. And there's troops on the ground, and then it's troop on troop, right? But there's no like in between, and they kind of talked about this in when he was describing why they wanted to create a Titan suit, and that was to create another layer of sort of granularity, I guess, for players to experience between a you know, turret system that can mow you down in an automated fashion, and another soldier that's equally equipped to you, somewhere in between, so that you don't run into something like the Division had, where for you to beef up a character that you have to fight, it doesn't seem. I mean, what do you do to make that guy stronger? You just say he's just got better armor than you or something like that. But instead, you can create this device. Is something that you could fight, but it's definitely a bigger problem set than a typical soldier presents. And then maybe you could have some other cool. It adds more color to the universe. You can have like an alien-like cargo version, or you know, that type of thing. But I think it's a great addition to the universe.
Yeah, I think what's interesting was Sean was saying how it's like that's what they're aiming for, like another level of gameplay. He feels is missing a lot in the game at the moment, which is like, you know, you can land anywhere you want in your ship and nothing's stopping. Whereas having these Titan suits means that you can. He's envisioning them like holding down a landing pad, stopping your ship actually landing because it's shooting at you and you're taking the damage. So kind of like a sort of mobile turret, I suppose, for land. But this also makes another interesting concept from like the dropship point of view. That is that you won't be able to fly your ship over the top everywhere, so you will have to need ground crew to drop nearer the target to maybe take these guys out. So it definitely would add a little bit of flavour to landing places and not making everything so safe. But then obviously, of course, he said he wants some, like you just said, he wants different variants so it can act like cargo to carry cargo. Maybe it can carry more cargo than, rather than you taking one box at once, or maybe a mining suit. You know, all sorts of different things they could do with it.
Oh, well, I mean, the picture we have on screen right now, which is the one that Snake was on his show, on his stream, and that I was like really interested in because I'm not a subscriber at the moment, so I didn't see it, but it was. It's in the vault, so if anyone's a subscriber, you can go into the vault and you can check it out. So this is the Valkyrie, I believe, inside the Valkyrie, right? Or one of the pictures.
I hope, by the way, that this ends up becoming like a huge Reddit thread or something like fact, mech is in the game, and like, you know, we're responsible for like starting this really false rumor thread on
we're responsible for starting
or something like
many other things besides decent Reddit rumors, but yeah, we can try. Definitely try. I'll tell you after the show, Snake. This is a mech though. I mean, like when you said mech, like, and the people in chat, Phantom Killer, I agree. This is a mech. I mean, if this was but they did say this. They did do a first iteration of the Titan thing, and they were having issues with it being too big and can't get through doors, and you know, it was like I could imagine this was the one that they were referring to, the first model that they probably did. I think this is the guns were too big.
This is technically a cutaway of the turret system in the Valkyrie, but
it's a turret system, but it looks like a mech suit.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I was looking at it. That's what I mean. I mean, I feel like it's, you know, it's going to be fake news, but if you look at this I'm sorry. I know.
He's ruined it.
I mean, I'm telling you, you couldn't have made this to look more like a mech if you tried. It looks like a mech suit.
We're just trying to troll.
If we say it enough times,
he can't. He's too honest. He couldn't do it. We were just literally trying to get people, and he just couldn't. Damn you!
People are already calling you out. I didn't want you to be.
No, I was aware. I was trying it hard to push this as a legit one.
I
was trying to make it happen for you, Snake. We were trying to make it happen. But no, but genuinely, it does look like a mech suit. And if they did, when I first heard of the Titan suit, I did think of this type of thing, or like a kind of like the Ridley's kind of, like I said, when I said to you before when you were watching, like the cargo mover for picking up boxes and stuff, which had the kind of the hand thing that catches the alien at the end. That for me was kind of like when I first heard of the Titan suit, I thought, oh cool, that's what it will be. And so when I saw this, I was like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then it was only later on that I found out that I was like, oh yeah, someone told me there's the turrets. But I thought it would be too good not to miss an opportunity to try and show people what it could be. But I prefer the Iron Man suit. No question, 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
I want the Iron
My
Man
only
suit.
concern with the concept they showed, and I realize it's extremely early, extremely basic concept, but my only concern is it's a little bit on the extremely high sci-fi front, like almost like Star Wars android looking type of thing, and I'm sure they'll flesh it out and make it a little bit more realistic, because I have 100% faith in the art team at CIG, but it does look a little bit like a big android that you're stuffed inside of or something like
this
that.
one. Hang on, I got it here. This one, that one.
But honestly, they could go cool directions where they could make one that, they could have different manufacturers of this suit, and so it would look very different depending on the manufacturer that you choose.
I mean, I'm a big fan of District 9, so for me, I really love the exosuit. I would rather call it Titans. I call it an exosuit. Really, is the way I would refer to it. And so for me, I loved that movie, and I loved that exosuit. So for me, if they have anything similar to that, I am so not doing what the character did in the movie and having to think about it and leaving it open. I will be running towards it in seconds, going, "Yay!" I'll be skipping into it, jumping inside, going, "Yes, this is and never leave, sleeping in it. Literally, be like making love in it. It's the thing that's going to happen. Honestly, it's like when I first heard that they were going to do kind of mechy kind of suits, that for me was really exciting because I mean, again, your name just is everything. The first ever time I ever, it's not true. There's anime, and I was big into anime as well. But when I played Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Ray, and the whole kind of the big suit and the kind of mobile platform and that type of thing, rather than tanks, this whole kind of that for me just got me so excited. And so for me, like I find tanks really boring, and whereas this is far more interesting, and I feel far more powerful than a tank in my mind. If it's strong enough to stand artillery, it's got shields, you're more versatile. I think moving faster probably to a degree, can go places where maybe a tank can't go. I mean, that's just maybe me, but I don't know.
Idea. My concern with it in the format that concept is in, which again it could totally change from there, but they have said the other thing that they said in this week was that they're really not trying to go the direction of robots or cyborgs or that type of thing in the game. That's a degree of sci-fi that they're trying not to go in, or a direction they're trying not to go in, and that looks like a robot with a human in it, and as opposed to a vehicle or tractor type of a thing like in the Alien movie. It looks like a tool that looks like you're inside of a robot. So
as long as you're inside the robot, it's fine. It's not a robot.
That's true. Technically, it's a technicality.
Whereas if we look at like an Anthem spacesuit, hang on, let's just bring it up here. So we've got the Anthem suits, which feel very much like they're like that, like a Titan suit. The Anthem suits feel, but you can get up to a really heavy looking one that does look like a mechy type thing. That's like a heavy one, and then you get like the medium size one, and then they have the kind of the light. So it's the classic light is fast, medium is kind of does everything average, and like a kind of a scout version or whatever. And then you'll have like the big old heavy bruiser, maybe that'll be the bad guy or whatever, the heavy tank, and then it's like that's the kind of design, which is like. Yeah.
There was a
pretty cool.
So in Call of Duty there was a sort of dude in a mech suit that was a lot harder to deal with than let me get a clip of it going for you and put it in Discord that I found it, and this is kind of what I envisioned from a guy who's supposed to be a lot harder to deal with than a normal soldier, but also has limitations. That's sort of the what I was hoping the direction they would go in is like it's a suit, but it doesn't necessarily give you like the ability to jump higher and run faster. It's just more of a weaponized moving. It's a moving weaponized platform, right?
The first iteration that they did, or they said they tested, I think was more like, because that's what they kind of said. They said it was they had big massive guns on it, and then they found out that it couldn't move in corridors, and it wasn't meant to be so you can jump higher and everything else. It was literally just like a turret, a walking turret, really. So I think that's kind of more in their line of thought than what we're looking at with the suits that can let you fly and all that sort of stuff. But
can I just say, this person has built this in real life, and this is fucking unbelievable. Sorry, I'm just like, I love sometimes Googling stuff, but someone's actually made this for real. This is legit. Look at that. Oh, shit. Whoa, ad blocker. My bad. Sorry, I use ad blockers. I hate adverts. But anyway, we'll move it here because I don't have to have an ad. We can see it. Look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow. That's so
cosplayers these
good.
days. Some pretty amazing tools they can bring to bear to make that stuff.
Yeah, sorry, just incredible. Like, that's so cool. Like, as we talk about like height and stuff, how you make yourself taller. Anyway, sorry. Giving somebody some love. You got caught, young man. Come on, let's be honest. Who fucking likes adverts? Get out of town. Who likes an advert? Oh, we got another questions. We got a couple of questions. So that was the Titan 6. Yeah, go for it. As you can read out the questions.
No, I was just saying we'll do these and then end it probably.
Last question.
So, question is from Phantom Killer, and he says your favorite ship in or out of the game. Either of them.
Mine is the Gladius. Mine's the Gladius. I love my Gladius. I've fallen in love with it again now that it's got size 3 hardpoints, and I can put 3 Omnis on it, or I can put 3 Tarantulas on it, and it's fast and it's quick and it's hard to hit, and I love it. So yeah, my Gladius again. I mean, I do love my Saber. Don't get me wrong, Saber's great, but the Gladius is a motherfucker. It's so small and nimble, and it hits hard.
It's a really tough question because there's definitely some concepts out there that we'll see how they get brought into reality. When I first started playing the game, what I really wanted to play as was Baloo in Tailspin. I wanted a vehicle that was like generally for cargo or something like that, but you could get into all kind of shenanigans, get into some fights, fend off some pirates, but make some money and just sort of adventure around the universe in that ship. And the Cutlass was really just so much like that. You know what I mean? It's got a big enough cargo compartment to put a vehicle in or a boatload of cargo. It's got some weapons on it, some missiles. It's got this cool look to it. It's kind of, Star Trek-ish almost with the nacelles sitting out there. It sounds amazing. I just love everything about it. And I don't know. I mean, I know it's not like a super glamorous ship these days, but there's still a special place in my heart with the Cutlass. Maybe it's the first ship thing. I don't know. But
I get you. No,
a lot of people have that sort of thought in this one. When you actually talk to people and say what they want, if you think of like other than doing special things like special run or a drop run or whatever, that's what most people seem to want to do. If you imagine, I'm just going to log on and do a bit, space hopping for a bit, just that little bit, a little bit of cargo. If you get enough, I mean, that's how they. If you've seen any of the old ship adverts, that's kind of how they advertise both. Probably, maybe the Freelancer a bit more, but the Freelancer is very much that type of ship with a bit, can fight off a couple of pirates and carry and. Cargo, have a hidden compartment so you can stop them scanning you, that sort of thing. So not a bad choice. I think that's fine.
No, the Cutlass would be if you were asking me what's my favorite ship to play in game and just to kind of like do missions and stuff and generally just be chilled. 100% the Cutlass. Well, not chilled, but just to do missions would be the Cutlass. Yeah, because it's easy enough to do a multitude. Yeah, I think it's a great shout. Liz?
Mine is it's just as favourite so far. Really, it's probably the Dragonfly, which is I don't know if you can count that as a ship really, but it's just.
Is it still flying? Does it still fly now? It still flies in space.
At the moment, I think so. So we can count it for the moment until they take away the space from it.
I think they've done a brilliant job making ships lovable in lots of different ways, though. I mean, like the only 2 ships I have currently are the 600i and the Valkyrie. And I love the 600i for the reasons it's the 600i. And there's things like all the ships that we could, pick about that that I'd like them to rework. And maybe they will be doing that in the upcoming rework. But like if I were to say what I think is the coolest ship that's flyable right now, just from a cool factor, I feel like the Vanguard it's a badass looking fighter. It's a badass performing fighter. It's got these other things that it can do. It can't carry very much cargo and stuff, but I keep on going back to the Vanguard and thinking, God, it's got to be one of the sexiest craft that's flyable currently.
I don't own one, but it's.
I don't own one either.
I'm
just gonna have to change it in November here because. I love that
talking
thing.
yourself. into
Well,
it.
that's going to be that. Will be a damn good question.
Done.
We'll ask that question. We'll ask that question. But just briefly. So it's just the dragonfly, Miz. That's your baby, is it?
Well, I think like I said before, the ship that I want was kind of the freelancer, but I feel like it doesn't fit the role exactly what I wanted. There's potential that a couple of the variants maybe might still hit that mark, depending on the reworks and stuff. Otherwise, at the moment now, I've got the Mercury is
The
probably
Mercury.
the closest to the ship I want, which
Be a
isn't
little
out
smuggler.
yet.
Little
Yeah,
smuggler.
it kind of fits the bill, so that would be my favourite. If you wanted an actual ship rather than a vehicle.
And then
But I don't know until it's out. I don't know. It could be a pile of shit when it comes.
Possible.
I got one question in between because talking about ships, and then we'll go to the final question in the chat. In the list is my question would be: is what ships are you going to what ships are you, if they come up on sale and you have the money and you're willing to part with some cash for, what ships when the anniversary sale come on? And that goes to chat as well. What are you going to buy? What are you most excited to potentially buy in the anniversary? Are you looking for a new ship, concept ship, and that will kind of swing you? Or is there something that you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I've really been waiting for a certain ship, I'm going to buy that? So we've got 890s thrown in there already.
If money is an object, it's easy to say stuff if money is no object. But if money is an object,
with object, yeah, with money, your money, you're restricted to what you can afford, and
I think. Yeah, I think the thing that I don't have right now, I kind of do. I have a loaner Super Hornet, right? But let's be honest, the Super Hornet is not a Vanguard in terms of dogfighting. It's just the Vanguard can 1 or 2 shot stuff all day long, and so I think that kind of giggly fun is something that I'm missing in my inventory, which is why I'm pretty sure the Vanguard's at the top of my list for the sale.
Yeah, good. Miz?
Probably nothing, but there is. So, like in terms of ships that I want, like I said it before, I'm not as big a fan of things looking more human shape or like aircraft style. I'm actually looking forward to some more alien style ships. I would like a really nice alien ship. But I don't think there's. I mean, they're really expensive. So even the fighter, I'd trade my buck in for one of the alien fighters, to be honest. But they're so freaking expensive.
See, I'm with you on this one. Now I'm torn between a Glaive and the Banu Defender, because they are that if I'm like kind of at that point, because the Defender's coming is in works, is on the roadmap as being kind of in going ahead. So for me, I can't afford. I don't like the big ships. Okay, I'm not that person. I'm not going to have massive. I mean, I will have a couple ships, the big ships. I've got a Carrack, so I will do that gameplay with people. That will be on my stream. I want that experience. I want people to come and join me, and we go and do exploration missions, and we go and do that kind of game side. But ultimately, the majority of my gameplay is going to be combat based. It's going to be single dogfighting. It's going to be landing on getting in people's Valkyries or whatever it is, going to FPS. That's my type of game. So for me, I'm not interested in those big ships. So if I could, in theory, use the money that you'd spend on big ships and apply it to alien ships. So for me, the Glaive is a definite. The Glaive or the Scythe, I like, but either one of those. I know they're going to get a rework. They have to, because the blade is so different looking. And like I said, the Banu. The Banu is like the Defender. I was like, it's got a really big shields, and if you saw how powerful the Hammerhead shields are, I'm just thinking to myself, that will make that ship. I don't know how good. Has anyone actually tried this? A Hammerhead versus heavy ballistic fire? Because the ballistics still have to get through the shield, so you still have to take the shields down to do the damage to the hull. So the same thing could be with the Banu Defender. I'm just thinking to myself, those big shields. Same with the Cutlass Blue that I have. Those big shields give it such an advantage over the other ships. Those Xion. Is it Xion? I think it's Xion ships. The Banu has. Yeah. So it's like, interesting. And now that I've seen the Hammerhead get an upgraded shields. Sorry, just something to think about.
One thing I am in terms of alien ships that I'm excited to see executed, and it looks like it's pretty close, if not done already, and it's on the roadmap in early 2019, I think, is the I'm actually looking for the name of it. What is it called? It's one of the kind of arms that hang out, and when it's landing, it looks like kind of like a gorilla with its knuckles on the ground. What the heck is it called? The Defender. The Defender.
Oh, they're doing the
That's what I describe it. It kind of like crouches into this aggressive position when it lands stuff, and I was looking at some concept art on it and stuff. It seems like such a cool, unique ship, and
hard to
just
judge
well
without
thought
seeing
out.
it, without it being kind of made. Because there's a couple of alien ones like that, and I did buy the Banu and then sell it, so I got like the buyback token. But it's like until you actually see it and get to see how well it, because like I like the Reliant in terms of the looks and just for being different, the way it changes to go vertical and just something a bit different, but it doesn't fly very well.
Yeah.
Well, at least.
And that's it, guys. We're done. Thank you so much.
I've got one more question.
Oh, do we? Someone sneaked in another one, did they?
No, you had one more before.
Sorry, Rambo. Sneaked in a Rambo. Sorry,
Okay.
Rambo. I was
Rambo
dismissing you.
asked, so we'll finish this one and this will be the last question. Land vehicle only game package for all those that don't want to fly in the verse. Yes. I presume he's saying, do you think we should have one?
Do you think we should have one?
Interesting idea. I mean,
you
I can tell you who thinks we shouldn't have one. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
No, I think it would be cool. I do think it would be cool. It would be an investment than in some of the ships packages, but I think if you wanted to do that, it would be like a super reliant role. Like you would be like, hey dudes, I've got some sweet land vehicles, but who wants to take me to where I gotta go? Because or if you want to spend all your time on Hurston, for sure, I think that would be cool. But generally, it would not free up a whole lot of content for you in the game currently. Someday, though, I think someday I could easily see a land package being available.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I suppose there's no reason why they couldn't. I mean, it's easy enough for them to just make a package, whether they want to. I mean, there's obviously like the downside would be people buying it and going, well, fuck me, I've got this package and it's got no ship. I've got no access to a ship. And as much as you may plaster it all over the freaking package, you'll get some people that will be buying it and saying exactly that. So I suppose they might not want to do it just for the headache of selling things, and then people going, "Oh, I don't know why I can't fly anything."
Someone will do that. Someone will buy the wrong
If there was
thing.
a discount, I will say this though. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at buying some vehicles, like a couple of Dragonflies and a couple of TC Cyclones. If there was a package that had a couple of each, or one one Dragonfly, one Cyclone, and one something else,
I think there is.
that was
isn't there?
a slight discount. I would go for that because I was planning on buying those anyway. So I think they could do like like not a starter package, but like a if they discounted the
I
package by
think
including all.
done land vehicle package, but I think he's more specifically on about a game package because that's what comes.
Yeah. I mean,
You're setting yourself up for disappointment there.
I'm with. Yeah, Miz makes a good point. I think you would have to do like kind of like the Fight Club Edward Norton's kind of risk assessment to figure out how many times you'd have to give that money back again to people that accidentally bought it versus how many would buy it. It's that kind of a deal. They could do it, no problem. They could do it. Yeah, go for it, Miz. Sorry.
I was going to say also on top of that is the fact that at the end of the day, as much as they put planets in and everything else, Chris Roberts is selling this as a space game. That's always his vision. That's always what it was. And I think for the sake of how much a ship costs, you can go in straight in and sell your ship. There's pretty much no reason not to have, you could go in day one, sell your Aurora and swap it for a Dragonfly. It's almost pointless just selling it as a land package. It's not worth it for them.
Here's a slight variation on that question, just sort of interesting off the shot. Do you think they'll come up with like an quote unquote amphibious type of a spaceship where you could fly it in space and then come down to the planet and out come the wheels and you can drive it around?
Do you know what, dude? You. This is something I spoke about on my show because I grew up with the Mask toys, and they were my favorite toys as a kid. And I keep saying this. I keep telling them they're missing a trick. They can have vehicles that can change it up. is what I'm saying. There could be one thing and then
played
do
with those
another
too, I
thing.
did.
They were the best. Now, I'll come back to your amphibious one. I'll just answer the first. Miz kind of said what I was going to say, actually, which was, it's a fucking space game. It's called a space game for a reason.
And I know you can get transport and lifts and go work on other people's ships. Yeah, we get all that, but it's still a space game.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's $45. You get a game package and you get a spaceship. I mean, that is pretty. That's pretty good for me. It's like, that's a good entry into the game. You get a basic spaceship, you get a thing, and if you want to have a land-based vehicle, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be much faster to achieve that goal than the guy next to you who's trying to achieve the goal of getting a spaceship, because a land-based vehicles cost you 75,000, whereas I think what's an Aurora, like 400,000 or something like that now, or is it similar kind of money? I'm not sure. It's pretty. Yeah. It's hefty. So
That being said, though, I mean, if Hurston becomes a huge metropolis with an economy and all stuff, I mean, there might be people that are only interested in hanging out in Hurston and doing their thing in Hurston and driving around in their sports car in Hurston and whatever,
Like I said,
called a space MMO.
Ship as soon as they log in, then just log in, go to your nearest ship dealer and say, right, I want to swap that Aurora for a Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Job done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally. I mean, yeah. I just think for the headache of the potential people that accidentally bought it, I think I'm with that one. I feel in my head, I think that would just, people would do it. That's the point. They already do it already. They buy the Squadron 42 pack and they accidentally go, oh, why can't I play the PU because you bought the Squadron 42? Do you know what I mean? Because you were stupid enough
when
to
they split that pack.
Yeah, and it already does. It already happens, and people buy the anniversary package that was out the other day, not too long. It was like $15, I think it was, to get the StarCitizen game. They couldn't play in the Persistent Universe. They could only play Arena Commander. There's this weird pack that came out, and and they couldn't play the PU. They could only play Arena Commander. They could only play Squadron, Star Marine, and it was like, I think weird shit goes on with CIG. Those are the shit that I don't like, but I just think they would open. Yeah, never say never. Never say never. I mean, there's plenty, and in terms of amphibious stuff,
they will do it.
Yeah, of course. It's just my personal opinion is I don't think they need to. The amphibious stuff, briefly, yeah, I think we have to see what happens with water. I mean, Hurston's got water. We've got the biomes for water. Will they make a... I don't know. I'm really interested to see. I mean, the logical, the obvious stuff is they'll make vehicles that will go into water. The spaceships shouldn't really go into water. J.J. Abrams' kind of spaceships going into water, coming out of water, I think, someone said to me, is utter bull. But I don't know if that's
more
true.
Like a hybrid between space and ground.
Land. Okay, space and land. Okay, so that's something that. Well, I mean, if you put the Mustang down, it's got wheels, so you could kind of run that bad boy around like a. Little bit. No,
the Vanguard, actually, the original concept art for the Vanguard had like treads on all three, so you could kind of maybe tool around and dirt with it.
I mean, is there anything ever made? Is there anything ever been made for the military where it's a hybrid, like an air and land thing that can kind of go on ground and take off? Besides those weird hand glider things, there's nothing, is there?
I don't think so.
That would be my argument. It's like, if we've not made it in the real world, then after all these years of war, we probably don't really need it.
I agree. Scrap it.
That would be drones, maybe drones.
I'm just we decided don't put the
try. We can put it down in Spectrum and see how many downvotes it gets.
Yeah, that's the best way to tell. Spectrum.
Okay. We have had we have run quite a good show this evening. It's been great having you on, Snake. I hope you've had a good time. So I do apologize for the.
My pleasure.
You did come at a time when we were trying a few things, so it was a little bit buggy, I'm afraid. But we'll get you back on. It will all be smooth.
Take a hit for. I appreciate the invite, man. I had a great time with you guys.
Will definitely get you back on again. I'm pretty sure if you're interested. And big thank you for, like I said, huge thanks for coming and joining us. It's been great to have you on, and obviously to have HC on earlier and have my partner in crime, Miserable G. Let's do a. Let me grab your. let me grab you a link, Snake, whilst you're here, because my links bot whatever doesn't work, so I need to do it manually.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
So please make sure you all go and give Mr. Snake Eater a follow. Show him how wonderful this StarCitizen community is. I'm sure he's already finding that out.
Big time.
Let me see if I can make sure I get the right
And
one.
as
Yeah,
always, everybody,
there we
thanks for your support. Thanks for joining us. As usual, the podcast will be up on YouTube tomorrow. Exclamation mark huge asylum, maybe, depending on what you put in the box. Should give you those links.
Yeah, Asylum should do. Yeah, so definitely, if you haven't checked out, if you just caught in and you enjoyed it and you want to catch up on when it was working really smoothly earlier, you can check out the YouTube channel. It's growing, like all things we do, everything here very organically. We don't do vast, copious amounts of giveaways and kind of grow it that way. We do it. We want people that enjoy our content and will follow and enjoy it. That's the way we run. That's the way we operate. So it's a slower process. We don't have those massive numbers that other people have, but we value every one person that follows, as we just had somebody do it. So we love you. Thank you so much for and yeah, hit up the subscribe in that, and also follow us on Twitter so that you guys can see when we're doing it. If you are new to the show, Miserable G will be hosting it next week, so you will need to I think this works. Let me just check.
Are you
No,
next week?
I am, dude. I'm in Asia again. Did that work? No, it doesn't fucking work. Don't worry, I'll get you the link, guys. It's one of the things on my list of things to do. Sorry, guys. My bot.
So,
I changed.
we
over.
alternate between us two. So
Yeah.
I'll do it next week, and then Manus comes the week after.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. There you go. Check out Miz a follow. This is channel.
No, it's more like the Z team, but no.
Yeah, we like C plus maybe max, C minus. But no, thank you. Like I said, we're growing. We have some other exciting things which we will re-announcing at some point. I can't announce them now. As always, we have lots of things, lots of fires going here left. We don't know. Like tonight, for giving like a general example of my day is like I get home on a Monday, I go to a fireworks event, and then I literally come back and then have to set up the show, have dinner, have lunch. My life is to the minutes, guys. It's how freaking it's crazy. So, but we have lots of other things going on, and there's got some really exciting stuff coming. So, definitely worth checking out. Miz, you streaming this week? You doing Paint, Paddle, and Roll this week? Or you...
I hope to be doing it on Wednesday. I'll see, but I hope to be. Otherwise, I think it's D&D on Friday as usual.
Yeah. Check us out.
Maybe day streams. We'll see. I need to try and get back onto it. I'm setting up some stuff on Streamlabs, and I've got tutorial things to do. So yeah, hopefully we're getting a bit back on track.
So yeah, so we definitely, if you like D&D, we do a show called Stout and Sturdy. You'll see us it's on the Asylum YouTube channel, the episodes as well. So if you like a bit of D&D, we do that as well. And Miz and I will be finishing our game walkthrough roleplay of A Way Out, hopefully before I go, but maybe when I get back, we'll see, from Vietnam again. So yeah, okay, right, should we host anybody? Shall we raid? Who should we raid? Who's actually on?